The following podcast contains naughty language and ridiculous situations. Listener discretion is advised.
April 12th and 13th is a celebration 25 years in the making. Ladies and gentlemen, April 12th, the Park Room. Beautiful. Worcester, Massachusetts. The Park View Room right across from Elm Park. It's live Trick or Treat Radio and a screening of the amazing cult cinema documentary Survival of Film Freaks. And then from there, the Bull Mansion, Worcester, Massachusetts, with opening band Nobody. It's the fucking Deadites all night long, playing a selection of songs from all the way back in 1993 to shit we wrote on the way over. The Deadites all night long at the Bull Mansion, April 13th. Tickets are available. Check out our social media. Be there or have to kiss Monster Zero right on the mouth. Now, welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Welcome all you little zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 345 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is a phantasmagorical spin kick straight through the heart of pop culture, navigated by the Deadites. The Deadites are the world's greatest electroshock band. We destroy monsters, we drink booze, we win championship belts, and we also talk about true Norwegian black metal. And joining us to do that is our good friend and amazing filmmaker. We have Brian Paulin here in studio with us.
Thank you for inviting me back.
Yeah, Brian, it's awesome having you back here, man. I think as we discussed that I believe this is Brian's first time in the new studio.
Yeah, first time in this one, yes.
Yeah, in this one. Brian was at the old one, and we've had him on a couple times, so it's awesome having you back in, Brian. And we're gonna jump into some Morbid Vision stuff in just a bit, but I want to find out more what you got going on. And but wanted to right off the bat welcome you to the show, and it's a pleasure because not only is it always awesome talk filmmaking with you, but people out there, if they know you, probably know this, but other people who don't know you may not know that you are a true aficionado of black metal.
It's true.
Yes, I'm doing the Burzum thing, the one-man band thing.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome band.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Thank you.
And you're I think 100% less racist than Burzum, so that's so that's good.
The
I've heard about 97% less.
You're downplaying it a little bit. Like in the studio, in my humble opinion, and I'm not just saying this because he's nice enough to put me in the pictures. This is a legit legend. Think about it. If you grew up in the Pittsburgh area from 1960-something to 1980-something, you wanted to be a zombie in an Uncle George movie, right? Like, that's just, like, it is what it is. If you grew up in the Blackstone Valley area, and started seeing fucking bone sickness and things like that, you wanted to get killed in the worst fucking possible way in a Brian movie. Like, it's fucking legit. Like, this guy has made some of the most outrageous stuff ever committed to film. And he's here right now in Trick or Treat Radio Studios.
And he's banned in Germany.
And he's been
Still.
Band in Germany.
Still.
yeah.
Just Germany? Was there any other countries?
Germany's the only one so far.
Well, once Septic comes out.
Oh, Septic, yeah. Germany's definitely going to ban Septic,
Yeah.
so we'll get to brag about that again.
It'll be good.
Hopefully some other countries, too.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what the Japanese version name of Septic is.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see something outlandish like what they do with Fetus.
Yeah, hot splasher.
Hot splasher.
Yeah, I love that. I need to have a hot splasher poster on my wall.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually asking Brian about that if he had any posters. He doesn't have any one sheet size, but he may have some smaller ones. So I'd love to hang one up in the studio.
I actually do have a small hot splasher one.
Oh, do you?
It's a 12 by 18 one I do have.
Oh,
I've seen it at shows, I think.
yeah.
We
That'd be
have my Rock and Shock.
So, Brian is now responsible for putting more Deadites in films than anyone. Like, probably more than Sam Raimi at this point. He's put Wolfie and I and Andy Christ. And he's also put all the Trick or Treat Radio guys except for Aries. So that's a pretty good. It's a pretty good run.
Well, Andy Christ is the OG of
It's
the
true. It's true.
Yeah.
of the Deadites' involvement
Yeah.
with Morbid Vision films.
It's true.
Way
He hasn't
back
put
in-
any of the talented, good-looking ones.
That was back in 2003, yeah.
Aries does like to wear a tutu, by the way.
What? Why? Why are you gonna go do that?
Right, Mars?
Yes.
We can fit that into Septic.
There you go.
Okay, I got an idea.
Reshoots.
All right. Remember the scene I did with Montezero where Montezero cosplayed the slab of meat from Rocky and I was Rocky?
Yes.
Right? Can we redo that with Aries and I?
We could fit it in. We could be
Yeah.
another human trafficker
Yeah.
in a tutu, and we can just abuse them.
So yeah, I'll definitely wear a tutu if I get to punch the shit out of him.
No, that's the other way around.
No, you're the one being abused.
Right.
Oh, then he's in a tutu.
That's
It's a trade-off.
that's fine. I thought about wearing a tutu on the 20th, the third, whatever that show is.
So we also have someone else in studio, a guest. Oh, I guess he's not a guest. But someone who hasn't been there in a while. Michael Ravenshadow. Where you been, man?
Oh, man, thank you, Brian. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Brian.
Boy, you've aged horribly.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's
What
been
happened?
good. Oh, man.
You're all gray now.
Oh, I've had some hard times. No, I had some. Yeah, it sucked.
The good times are over.
Uh-oh.
That's true.
No, I was ill, which is very rare. I don't normally get sick.
Your cruising speed is 3/4 dead. Are you trying to sell us you're not ill?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, on the outside. On
Well,
the
he
inside,
caught
things
the
are done.
plague and he got better. So
Yeah. Plague of zombies. And then, yeah, no, some bad times. I had to do some fucking work shit, and it was sucked. I didn't like it. But I'm back now, and, it's been a lot of thinking. A lot of things going on since I've been gone. And there's been a lot of negative things that have been said about your friend and humble narrator, Michael Ravenshadow.
Narrator.
Yeah.
Well, is that anime?
It's the whole thing.
Naruto?
Yeah, it's great. Ever watch
Isn't
a lot
that
of
isn't that a
anime?
young lion?
Yes. But
Red
watch-
Naruto, yeah.
Watch about Konami. What's it called? Toonami. Remember that? But no, there's a lot of negative things said about me, and I'm sure while I was gone. And some of those things are true. But one thing I'm not is afraid to change. And I've had someone I was spending time with, Brian Kiss. And I've been looking at, I'm on the motherfucking phone. I got an announcement to make, but no, I think there's been some things that, and she's trying to make me better. And I realize.
I hope you're paying her a lot of money.
No.
Just
and I realize that there's been some things that have been known about me as a joke. It's something I do or I have. It's been a joke, and if you watch the show live or hear us, we talk about this. And there's been some baggage I've been carrying on my person that's hurt me over the years.
This is an extra
Was that
special.
Boba Fett luggage?
That's very fucking heavy. But no, something I can carry on my person, and I know it's hurting me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, your wallet.
It's hurting me.
Your fucking
carry in
wallet.
your purse.
It's true.
Yeah, your
You say
wallet.
carry in your
True.
purse.
But fucking Johnny knows me like the fucking back of my hand because, as a result, the wallet
Whoa!
is no more. Look at it.
Holy shit! Look at that.
That's
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I
it's
know.
alive.
You know what it reminds me?
Open
Let's
it up.
burn this fucking thing.
It reminds me of Fat
I'm a-
Bastard at the end of
With
Goldmember
all skin.
with all the skin hanging off.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid to open it.
I legitimately feel bad for Michael Ravenshadow right now. I legitimately feel terrible for you
What's that?
because he just fucking did to you what you do to me all the time.
God,
What's that?
You fucking
doesn't
leapfrogged me to the punchline.
it doesn't even feel like
Yeah, but
either.
it was obvious. It was obvious.
I thought I was gonna stay on the show. I thought he was actually trying to make himself a better person, but no, it's like a fucking bit. I'm leaving soon. I can't wait.
But check it out, though. This is fucking real leather, though.
Whoa.
I'm streamlined now.
It's real Norwegian.
Whoa.
Real Norwegian
So-
black leather.
True Norwegian.
So what did you do with all your
I've never been
cards
more
and everything
disappointed.
that was stuffed inside that thing?
No, I have them. I gotta keep them.
True
I gotta
Norwegian
keep
black
'em.
leather.
Brian, you don't know, but I had a really big wallet for a long time. People made fun of me for it. But no, it's just streamlined. I have only the cards I need now. It's very nice.
Very good. Look at you.
Yeah, it's very streamlined. I still got my Avengers ID in here, but yeah, no. So baby steps.
Got to
Baby steps.
represent.
Where's the new one?
Right here, baby. Yeah, check it out.
I won't take anything. I just want to
And
see.
it's I've been told
Whoa.
it's RIPD or something. The riff, whatever the fuck. It's so it can protect you from like people.
And
Shooting
how
razor
soon
blade.
will it be before that gets stretched out like R. Kelly in jail?
What did you do with everything in it?
I have.
Did you send it to the Smithsonian?
I did. No, I have them in piles. I have one pile that I'll eventually shred, and one pile I may have to go through because I may need.
Wait, piles? Is that why you didn't come? You had piles?
I had piles. Yeah, Goma piles. But no, so it's nice. I got a nice new leather wallet. Sorry, it's funny to me.
Now, how
It's
long
funny.
did you have that other wallet for? How long did that last?
Probably about
long
like
time.
3-4 years. No,
Really?
No, but like the show. We weren't doing the show when I got that.
3 years?
Really?
I was going to say, I
you
thought that
amass
was.
so fucking much stuff in 3 years.
No, it had to been before we started doing the show.
Oh, I guarantee that he bought that wallet and just put everything from the old wallet into the new wallet.
Yeah.
I don't know when the show actually started, but LinkedIn told me that the other day was my 5-year anniversary on Trick or Treat Radio. So we have
It said
to get
6 year, but it was wrong.
We have to be getting around there, huh?
I saw it. It said 6 year, but that's wrong because we're coming up on 7.
7 years. Yeah.
2000.
Well, that's probably just when I did it, though. Like when I set up LinkedIn, maybe.
Maybe. So, yeah, so tonight we have Brian here in studio with us, and we are going to be talking about the film Lords of Chaos, which is why Brian is here. Well, not the only reason, but partially why Brian is here, to lend his expertise about true Norwegian black metal. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. We'll take some voicemail. If there's anyone out there who would like to send in a voicemail, you have not done so yet, feel free to do so. Podcast at trickortreatradio.com. You can send in voicemail or email, whichever, and you can go ahead and leave your thoughts about the film. If you have questions for Brian about any of his films or about his filmmaking or about his gore, which is world class, feel free to send a message. So, and this is worth mentioning. So Mixtape Massacre just kicked off their Kickstarter today, Escape from Tall Oaks, and it looks like they're funded already.
Jesus. It does not take long.
Wow, less than 1 day.
What was their goal?
25,000, and they're up to 27,389.
It's going up even as you're talking.
Yeah. 500 backers already.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Jeez.
Mixtape Massacre.
Oh,
Good.
that's all your money?
Yeah, I
Excellent.
posted it, and obviously the 50 people who follow me probably just spent a lot of money.
Yeah. There's 500 that pledged.
Right. Well, maybe they pledged multiple times under fake names.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
sure they
they're
did.
all in black metal bands, and they kept changing their name.
By the way, it looks like your daughter's in the chat room, Mars.
Yeah.
I see the
Oh,
double-
Raven Shadow missed that whole thing.
double
Let's
eyes.
not talk about Raven Shadow here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Looks like I have a daughter.
Oh,
Nobody knew.
at least
Least of
least
all
of
me.
all him. Yeah.
oh, do you have a picture?
Huh?
Is there a
You
picture?
just
Wait, you
stay
wanna-
the fuck away from my daughter. I will fuck
Raven
you up
Raven
like a
Shadow's got
car
someone
crash.
special
I don't know.
who's helping him to change his
She-
wallet.
If she looks
better
like
stay
him,
the
do you
fuck
really
away
want
from my
to
daughter
her?
too. No, she doesn't look like me. She's very lovely.
Oh, good.
Then she's not yours.
That's good. Well, Paps is very handsome.
True, and he's not yours
No,
either.
I made him right from the source. Freezy, that guy.
Right from the source.
Yeah,
What's the source?
the source wall. I guess I guess just like the God gun, I'm not shooting blinks.
She says, "Hi, Dad."
Yeah.
Great.
Well, better hi dad than hi daddy.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, I agree.
Who's
Especially
babysitting?
after seeing Assassination Nation. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Raven Shadow.
Yeah.
You missed 2 films.
I know.
So
Watch them.
he
Which
did.
ones?
He did.
Yeah.
That I know for a fact.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm impressed.
So Raven Shadow. So let's go back to episode 343. Let's hop in the Wayback Machine.
Okay.
I don't want a synopsis.
All right, I feel you're going to yell at me. Is this how
I'm
you
not
set
going to
me up?
yell at you.
You're probably
I
gonna
don't
yell.
want a synopsis. I want your quick thoughts. Trick or Treat. Did you like it? That's pretty much it. Mega Time Squad.
All right. It's fucking terrible, Brian. See what he's doing? He's setting me up. He's
Why?
going to yell at me in a minute. Just the answer, Trick or Treat.
Oh, and a
Did you
couple
like it?
thoughts.
It was fine. I don't like time travel. It kind of got a little long. So, tepid treat.
That was actually, I think, almost exactly my review, which is strange.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Huh.
All
On
right.
the cliff notes of your review.
And next, Assassination Nation.
Yeah, this was a weird one. I liked it. I thought the gore was good. There's parts I didn't like. Like, it was kind of uncomfortable. I liked the fact that they introduced a the kind of transgender character very normally and easy.
Mhm.
And it really wasn't anything I was
Yeah, it wasn't
watching.
even a deal. It wasn't
No,
even a big
no.
deal.
And a little bit, I'm like, oh, is that, just from looking, it looks kind of something.
All
like
right,
that.
you
Well,
should have stopped right
oh, yeah,
there.
no,
but
no, it's fine, it's fine. There was a character in Robotech in the Invid era that had purple hair, and he would disguise himself as a female performer to hide from the aliens.
Okay. That has nothing to do with Assassination Nation or what you think about it, but okay.
But this means that people can get along and it's nice and we can all be different. Wow. But anyway, though,
All right. Now he's going off the rails. Somebody set him back
no,
right.
I liked it. It was a interesting look at the way they use technology and the way you can, a comment or.
Would you be fucked if there was a data leak?
He probably, this fucking crazy asshole probably already thinks somebody's already watching him.
I fucking ass.
It's fucking Rockwell over here.
It's someone watching me.
He probably still puts a sock over the receiver on the phone so they can't tell that. Maybe Shadow said, they're listening.
I don't put the sock on the phone, but I have one nearby, if you know what I'm saying. But no,
Like
it
one
was,
of those running socks.
Yeah, like look, yeah. Hey, but no, and it was the way things kind of took a turn, really escalated quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like some of the violence towards some of the female characters, but overall, I did like the film. I liked the team.
You like the team. Everything's a fucking team up.
They were a team up. It was good. Yeah, so I think it could have been Assassination. That could have been fine, but the extra.
They rhyme nation with nation. Is that wrong?
Assassination. What's your nation?
Yeah.
So.
Treat. Yeah, treat.
And you said that the film was what?
I asked you, could this film be important?
Could be.
But I was.
You missed the conversation,
a little
so
heavily, yeah. So I was under the influence. I was the influence by myself with my dog, wishing I was on a road trip with you.
wishing you were on a road trip. What kind of road trip?
I don't know.
Atlantic City.
Nah, just maybe go to the drive-in.
It's not a road trip.
Yeah, we drive around the parking lot for a while. Be nice. I don't know. No, I did. It was. I wish I could have been here for that conversation.
All right. So you watched both movies.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
We're all caught up.
Proud of
now.
you too.
Thank you. See,
Yeah.
I miss being here.
That part I'm not happy about.
I got some feedback. People miss me. Well, one person. Well, I think someone missed me.
Everyone asked. Well, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people asked where you were. For the
Yeah,
live
they
show.
did.
Yep. So I'm back.
Creepy Girl was sad.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm back, creepy girl. I'm back like scoliosis. We're ready.
Oh, Corny says, "Damn, Raven Chow's in studio." Evil Corny wants to see your wallet again.
Raven Shadow, I got a good idea.
Yes.
You like to feel special, right?
Yeah.
So if you only show up every 6 or 8 weeks, they'll be special.
Yeah, well, like the great band of the 90s, Jim Blossoms, wrote, if you don't expect too much from me, I won't let you down.
Well, you might be the only person who knows that.
You might be the only one who calls the Jim Blossoms great.
Well, it's melodramatic.
Actually, I like that Jealous Scene song. That's them, right?
Yeah.
Jealousine?
Yeah, that's what it's called, I think.
Is it the Bush song? Is it the Bush mashup?
No,
Jealousy?
it's called Jealous Scene, isn't it?
No,
That's
hey
sweet.
jealousy.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't like it that
that's
much.
right. Hey, Jill.
Well, you
You
think of
sure?
Jello when you hear it. So
Think of what?
Jello.
Yeah, I do like Jello.
All right, so let me do quick intros, I guess, since we haven't done them in a while, and everyone's here for a change. I am Johnny Wolfenstein, the pencil pusher and producer of media for Trick or Treat Radio, The Deadites, and also one of the co-hosts of the Outside Corner Fantasy Baseball podcast, and one of the co-hosts of the 5 Hossman Wrestling podcast. And Mars, we just dropped a new episode. We talked all about our trip to Atlantic City to go check out They Said It Couldn't Be Done, GCW's big show with, count 'em, 5 death matches. And we had glass flying at
Right at us,
our
yeah.
asses. We had cats
running
by us.
It was like Brian booked this show. It was fucking
Everyone's running amok.
blood and gore and cats.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. So we talk about that on episode 12 of the 5
I
Hossman.
cuddled Jakey
Yeah,
during
you
the
did.
night.
Yeah.
It was nice.
And one of my co-hosts on the show, he is the immortal gunslinger, singer, and lyricist for the Deadites, Dynamo Mars. The Goth Chic.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You were a very kind and generous man. Johnny Wolfenstein, you're a host with the most. No, I'm living my best life. In fact, I think there's an argument to be made that I'm living Raven Shadow's best life. But, like the reality is that, things are wild and woolly. He missed a lot.
Gotta catch
Yeah.
up.
Yep. But yeah, things are good. I'm not doing so well in real life, but depending on what your litness is. For like me keeping a roof over my head, like I'm doing poorly. For like Raven Child's priorities, like things are fucking awesome. So
All right.
yeah, but yeah,
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
We have haven't seen him in a while in chat. We got Slegoth hanging out.
Hey!
Fucking
We got
savage.
Evil Corny. We got Dynamo's kid. We have Marion hanging out
Nice.
There's only one of my kids in there.
that I see.
Yeah, there's no Paps.
I don't believe so. We have a couple other people. We also had, by the way, when I was doing Patsy's show last night, I opened up the chat room, and someone had posted a GIF of some very pornographic material in our chat room. And I opened up the chat room when they were talking, and there was definitely some like straight-on penetration going on. And I just like kind of lost it and started laughing, and they were like, "What?" And they were like, "Oh my god!"
Was it
I did delete it, but
I need. Did you see who did it?
well, I mean, they had a name, but I didn't recognize it. It wasn't. I think it was someone from this chat service.
Oh.
So
no one I made.
no,
Okay,
no.
good.
Or at least, unless they changed their name,
Yeah, I would have had to have a talk with one of them.
it was. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I can click to view it, but I'm not gonna.
Come on.
Yeah, I'll fucking.
I'll take a look
Yeah,
at it.
play back the entire mess.
You know, Johnny, I'll fucking tell you this. We can't put out a record, but like the kids are starting to pile up in 2019. So
Well, have them put out the record.
I know pretty soon that's what's happening. They're fucking. What are the Deadites Teen Titans called? I mean, they're all in their 20s and early 30s, but what should the Deadites Teen Titans be called?
Secret Titan Society? I don't know.
Young Deadites,
Little Deadites.
Young Deadites in love.
Deadites babies.
We also have the vulgar guru of horror, star of. This is it makes even more sense now because Brian's sitting next to you. The star of Blood Pigs, also featured in Fetus, the upcoming Morbid Tales, and Septic, and one-time contributor for Horror Hound magazine, Monster Zero.
Hey, everybody.
We also have the triumph riding, stage erecting, whiskey drinking, chief of security, warrior of nor'easters, America's sweetheart, urban Gandalf, and Rick Rubin's stunt double. He drinks and breaks things. Ares, God of War.
Hello.
Yours is getting kind of like Raven Shadows.
You know, I'm trying to. I entice you to take things out, and you never do.
I've been here the longest, and mine's the shortest.
That's okay. Maybe.
That is the first time
You are
said that.
you are a grower, not a shower.
It's been really cold out lately.
That's okay.
And making his triumphant return, we have the chain smoking, hand kissing, baby shaking, lorazepam loving,
You might want to take a bathroom break, Brian.
former comic book reading nerd, the official smoke chamber for Castle Wolfenstein, the Pipper Promotions, the Italian rapscallion, professional bullshitter, the cool principal, the proprietor and secretary of the Sexy Speakeasy, Mr. Runtime, the Duke of Degeneracy, and the Parisian Brewhall himself, Michael Raven Shadow.
That's right.
The fuck, you're breaking shit on the floor.
Yeah, well, I'm back, baby. I'm making some noise. No, it was a bag that was stuck in my boot.
A bag that was stuck on my boot. You get trashed all over the place,
Oh,
you asshole.
Vegan bag.
Who's got the fucking
It's a
Chipotle
vegan
bag all over
bag.
A vegan bag. It's a fucking Chipotle.
All right, I'm fucking pissed about your inability to work like a fucking phone or a computer. But if you can't work a
Like a
fucking paper
bag.
bag, like I'm gonna have to put you out of your misery, out of my misery.
It's got weird handles, though. Put that
Weird
in a movie, Brian.
handles.
Just fucking, it'll bite somebody.
So we have some suggestions about the young Deadites. Slegoth says teen Deadites.
Well, they're like all in their 30s.
You- Your daughter says Kidites,
That's not
which is
bad.
pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And Kexy's hanging out.
Oh, nice.
I think he is. Unless, someone just said, hey, Kex.
I should have stuck with Kexy. Then I would have had no kids.
How about the
true.
Kedites?
Yeah.
The Kedites?
Yeah.
Well, someone said Kidites. You pretty much stole
Fucking
that.
plagiarized.
Well, Ked after Ked. After Keds.
Yeah.
Are you wearing Keds right now?
No, I'm wearing slippers.
Of course you are.
Of course I am.
I saw at Monster Zero he had real shoes on, and he came to my toy store.
I did.
You had big boy shoes on? Did
Yeah, it was very
did.
good. He brought his.
you buy anything? Did you buy that huge fucking Transformer? It's like $200.
Yes, I
He
did.
did.
He
Yeah,
did?
definitely
Really?
did,
Not
yeah.
that one.
No.
Oh,
I don't even know which one you're talking
No,
about.
he bought a better, more.
You know what I'm
expensive
talking
one.
about,
yeah,
though.
he
Yeah.
wasn't fucking around. He bought a better, more expensive one. Like it was like fucking an art dealer. Like I had to take all the shit out of the case.
Are you
and he was
selling
fucking-
drugs now, MZ? Where are you getting this fucking
Yeah,
money?
it's crazy.
It's called tax refund season, buddy.
I thought tax refunds weren't as good this year.
They fucking
No,
weren't that much.
actually, ours was really good this year. Better than I expected, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, now you're a Trump supporter, huh?
I didn't say that.
Maybe he was trying to buy your love.
Yeah, just you.
What am I, his
Buy
daughter?
your vote. Oh, I don't think he wants to fuck you.
Oh,
He'll fuck me one way or another. But yeah, I was in his store. I was
A little close to
I was
home.
in Dynamo's store, and I picked up a couple of things. So, and I'm
he was
pretty
fucking
happy with it.
impressed. Like he was fucking throwing fucking bills around, like he was the IRS.
No, I mean, yeah, got some good stuff in there, you know, and
I know I built most of that myself.
yes, and it's wonderful in
With
there.
your sperm?
Believe me, I wish if I could take
true.
that whole case home as well as
If
the
I could buy every day,
Masters
I look,
of the Universe stuff.
I know.
Oh,
Every day
Jesus.
I look at that and wish I could buy you something nice. I think.
He thinks about you every day.
Yeah, no, every day I'm there, I probably do more so than people I actually like. Like, you know, like I'm just like, hey, like, you know, Monster Zero would really like that if I wasn't poor. Despite the fact they literally at the end of the day, like, pay me a fucking ludicrous amount to do what I do. Like, it's not like I'm making money that, like, you know, flag waivers at highway construction sites. Or
I might be hitting you up for a job soon, Mars.
Yeah, any openings?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I went in there and I'm shopping around, and I'm in there for about maybe, I don't know what, seemed like what, maybe 35, 40 minutes I was in
35 hours.
there. If it was my choice, believe me, it would be. And, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
she was trying
checking
to
out
get-
everything
Oh.
that he's got going
Well,
on.
Evil Corny says MZ got some money with that update of his. It's because you're no longer black, right?
right.
That's why you got a higher tax return.
Yes.
Continue.
And so, you know, I'm looking at the figures that he's got, you know, I'm looking at them, and you know, I'm weighing my options as to, you know,
Sure.
the money that I want to put towards a certain item. And so I walked out of there with an original G1 Red Alert.
Which was really impressive purchase.
It's a good figure too, because you know you have that policy where you can't transform them in the store.
Well,
so I wait till I get home.
I would have let you. Like, you're a fucking professional. The only
Well-
reason I would stop you is that the store closes at 9 o'clock, and if you
Yeah.
start at 9 a.m., like you'd still have a couple hours left by the time we close. You transform those things slow.
But the joints are good and tight on them, and everything seems to work, you know. And so I'm really happy with that. And I also picked up it's a 2011 Encore edition, and it's not Sound Blaster like I said it was. It's not him. It's Twin Cast. Twin Cast is you remember the character Blaster?
Yep. Yes.
Well, Blaster in Transformers Headmasters, Japanese series Headmasters, which came out between the seasons 3 and 4 in the American series.
Japanese headmasters.
Yes,
Nice.
and in
Is
there,
that what got Bob Kraft in trouble?
Yeah, yeah.
Those were
And-
handmasters.
yeah,
Get the fucking inner John lube
he
ready.
got an cage, Jay.
and now you fucked me all up.
That's all you needed. My virginity grew back.
So Soundwave and Blaster, they have a battle. They both kill each other off. They both die in battle. Soundwave gets his head and a couple of arms and his torso gets retrieved from Ratbat and Laserbeak.
Is this all happened in the store?
Yes, it did.
They were playing it, set them all up.
It did. Then
It
HR,
was a slow day. I could have.
then HR Puffin stuff came in, and it was like that scene in Ted 2.
When
where
When did Macho Man drop the elbow?
and he gets reformed into Sound Blaster. Meanwhile, Blaster comes back as Twin Cast, and Twin Cast has a blue body.
Isn't that the casino down the road in
No,
Rhode Island?
no,
No. Oh, okay.
you're close, but no. So it's in the case is in perfect mint condition. It's beautiful. Never been touched. This thing is like 8 years old. It's in a beautiful it's encased in this beautiful plastic casing, acrylic casing that they use for AFA ratings. AFA is a company that officially rates figures, action figures in their package and things like that. So I feel like I really want to get this thing graded, and I really think it's going to get a great grade on it. And it's beautiful, but it's beautiful. It's got a lot of great color. It pops like a fucker, and
it pops like a fucker.
yeah, it does. And
It
I'm
pops
very
like
happy
it
with my
pops like a
purchase.
head in a Brian Paulin movie. How about that?
That's true, like an eyeball. We can.
All right, enough about your fucking Transformers. Brian Paulin's here, all right?
What the fuck are we talking about?
MZ,
Yeah.
Brian Paulin's here, and you're talking about fucking Transformers.
Hey, I'm talking about eye popping with Brian over here.
By the way, he didn't do any of that while he was in my store. He
Break
didn't
and
have.
pop?
He didn't fornicate with one Transformer.
He tried.
I don't know.
I can't control myself all the time.
So you got a haul. Did he
A
at least
small
did
haul, yeah.
Mars at least give you some kind of discount or something?
No, he didn't give me shit.
What the fuck, Mars?
I'm not allowed. It's not my money.
Yeah.
You don't get a discount, friends and family or something?
No.
I'll
Wow, a
live.
bunch of bullshit.
I'll live.
Corny wants to know: did Raven Shadow retire the action sack?
Not yet, but pretty close. I have a deck on what? I have one on deck.
And Evil Corny says, "You said what I was thinking, Wolfie."
Yeah. I really
the comment
love
about
the
tax
lady who's
returns.
trying to help you, but I think she should aim higher.
But with the gun?
I don't think she.
You missed.
It couldn't
Yeah.
hurt.
She did.
To
did
be
she,
honest,
did
with
she
your
watch?
physic-
Did she watch Lords of Chaos? You get some tips, maybe.
Yeah, no, we watched that. We watched that last night.
Yeah. To
It was cool.
yeah.
It was nice.
With your physical prowess, I think a nice throw pillow would probably do it better than a gun.
Throw pillow.
It was like-
But yeah.
it was very nice.
All right.
No
well,
smoking, drinking, like really just fucking going for that wallet. That's like, it's like what we're doing, right?
You got to start small.
yeah. Yeah, you can start somewhere.
It's a big step,
Well,
though.
granted, the wallet was gigantic, but figuratively,
So, yeah.
start small.
All right, so let's talk to Brian about Morbid Vision. I want to find out what is going on. So, Brian, you have a couple films, or at least you have one film in the can, and one you're still working on. Is that right?
Yeah, Morbid Tales has actually been done for a couple of years now.
Yep.
And we basically didn't have the financing to release it, so it's kind of just been sitting there. But we finally got some news. It's actually on its way to Black Lava right now.
Nice.
And they're going to master it. And yeah, they're going to provide us with the DVDs, so we get a deal going. So Morbid Tales is finally coming.
Nice.
Yeah. Good to see MZ in another flick. Yeah. You weren't masking this one, MZ, right?
I do.
Yep.
And
Remember
I
seeing some
think,
of the
but I'm
pics.
also, yeah. I wear masks part of the time.
Towards
and
the end.
Towards the
You
end,
get messed
and
up.
other times I don't.
If you're in a Brian Paulin film, you get messed up.
Everyone gets messed
yeah.
up.
Except Raven Shadow now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Right?
Yeah, you guys actually made it through septic. So.
Yeah.
You're nice.
Oh, we
So
shouldn't give that
far.
away.
So far.
So far. Haven't finished filming yet, so who knows what could happen.
Yeah, exactly. We
I ended up. I didn't make it through, but like, I thought I was gonna make it through at least clean. But like, I walked in and like saw like a puddle of blood on the floor and knew that that's where I was spending my night, no matter what happened. And like, sure enough, all right, so go lie in that puddle of blood. And I did, and then everybody did all this stuff and made a bunch of noise.
Yeah, you literally were laying on the ground for most of our shoot.
Yeah, it's true. So when I see septic, I'll get to see what the fuck was going on while I was lying on the ground with my back turned.
You were really good, though.
Yeah, you
it
were
was-
good. Yeah, you,
I was
you,
good. I
you
slept
played dead well.
Slept a little. It was nice.
Even more happens to you after you left. You end up being a fake head, so.
I know. I'm more afraid of what happened to me with the mask on. That's not me or what I did. Like,
Yeah,
like
you
when
find out what you
I'm gonna
did.
be like, Grammy, I wasn't even there. Like, that's just
You
the
did some
mask that I had on.
deplorable shit, Mars.
shirt.
Yeah.
Mars, your daughter says he didn't even give me his own daughter a discount, so shrug.
Well,
I wasn't positive. The DNA test hadn't come in yet.
Oh. So
If I gave all my kids a fucking discount, that place would be out of business.
so Black
got a
Black
niece
Lava
now.
has been really good with you lately, and
They're by far the best people we've ever worked with. I
Yeah.
mean, very reliable, honest, which doesn't
That
happen
doesn't
much.
happen often.
Yeah, they've been great. What?
Not naming any other companies.
No. I burped.
So I'm not actually all that familiar with Black Lava. I'm checking out. Is it Black Lava Entertainment or is that something?
Yes.
different?
Yeah, that's
okay.
it.
Cool.
And they're based in Austria.
Oh, okay.
So-
Nice.
They do our.
Oh,
They
yeah.
get full European rights to our movies.
Okay. They got a Morbid Tales trailer right on their front page.
Nice.
Awesome. So, yeah, Black Lava. So they'll be putting. You'll be getting DVDs from them to sell.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we put together a deal, and also it's going to be because they're in Europe, so their DVDs are PAL format.
Yeah.
But it's going to be like the Fetus one they sell. It's going to be made from one of our masters, so it's going to be worldwide. And it'll be NTSC region free.
Nice.
Good.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah, that's.
I
Great.
can't wait to see how this is going to turn out, man.
Do you have any details about a release yet, or is it just kind of when it happens, it happens?
When it happens.
Yeah. That's kind of what I figured. But it's probably safe to say that by Rock and Shock, you may have some for sale.
Yeah, we'll have it for Rock and Shock.
All right.
I'm hoping to have it for the summer because I'm doing a convention, a one-day convention in Pittsburgh called Gross Fest.
Oh, nice.
So I'm hoping we should have it for that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome to be able to have it for that.
Didn't you do that a couple years ago with Fred Vogel?
That was Slaughter in Syracuse.
Slaughter in Syracuse.
That was fun. That was
Yeah.
a cool. It was like a film festival, but we also had set up. Everyone had a table set up inside the theater.
Nice.
So that's great news about Morbid Tales. Really looking forward to checking that out. And the idea behind Morbid Tales, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, it was shorts that you did earlier in your career, and you kind of created an anthology, like with a wrapper around it. Is that right?
Yeah, it's an anthology of the very first 3 short films we ever made.
Nice.
So people are always asking if we're ever going to release them, and of course I always said no because they're our first ones, they're not worth selling.
Yeah.
But finally came up with a concept, and it worked. So I was like, all right, I'll finally do it. We'll put them out. And the wraparound story is basically its own short story, and it has basically the huge finale that we usually do.
Yeah.
It got a lot bigger than originally. It was just supposed to be. We got together 2 nights, but then it was like, hey, I got another idea. Let's do this. Let's do it. Next thing you know, we had like tons of effects for the finale.
I still remember filming that.
There's
I can't wait to see
nothing
how it's going to turn out.
in all of moviedom like a fucking Brian Paulin finish.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. When I was when we were filming Fetus, I was at the beginning of the film and at the end of the film. The demon.
Yep.
That goddamn demon suit. My God. I mean, you think I was fat? You think I'm fat now? I mean, back then I was relatively skinny, not of emaciated Raven Shadow size,
Yes, thank you.
but slender enough where I thought I could fit into this thing. Are you fucking kidding me? This thing was tight.
I made
Man.
the mistake. I made the tail around myself, and for some reason, I have a thin waist, and I just kind of forgot that other people are going to be wearing it, and so that was my fault. I screwed up with that.
Because it's like the inside of it is like 5 inches of foam all the way around the circumference of the inside of the suit, of the tail portion. And trying to wedge my fat ass, allegedly fat ass,
Good.
into this thing was truly a task, but the end result, it came out great,
Dude,
that
footage came out
final
great,
shot,
so-
that final shot
love
of that
Fetus.
movie is fantastic. I really love it.
Now it's not that the end of Bone Sickness has got any more fucking awesome. It's just I stopped making friends. But like I would like show people like when they would first come over my house, I'm like, you know what you gotta fucking see? And like we'd watch the end of Bone Sickness.
Yeah, you
But,
showed it to me
yeah.
a few years ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I look back at that. I'm like, wow, I'm surprised some of the shit we pulled off in that. It was just a lot of things just came together just right. Where we worked, we were able to use the back parking lot. We were able to wreck cars, everything. So we had a lot of access to some cool stuff that made for a great finale for that.
On Facebook, Gorgor Girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, she had on a clip of Blood Pigs, the scene where I get my head cut off and Joe is
Spoiler alert.
Seriously.
gets his arm flayed.
Everyone dies in my movies. Everyone
Yeah,
knows that.
yeah.
Raven Shadow would have never
Gets
known.
his, and he gets his arm flayed. Well, I was at work leafing through my Facebook, and I see it come up. So I started showing it to some of the people at work. One of the girls nearly threw up.
Really? Yeah. That's awesome.
I swear to you, and she kept on coming back to me. Are you sure that was fake? Are you sure that was fake?
Well, you're standing
no,
right
I really
here.
did, so.
Well, you don't look the same either. Like that was during when you look like Homer Simpson in a disguise. But like,
That was a weird era for you.
yeah,
We all have that.
your
you know.
peanut head and that long goatee.
We all have that strange era.
Oh, no, we don't.
Remember?
He's still going through his.
That's true.
Actually, I found some information about Brian. I don't know if we can talk about it.
Uh-oh.
But I found.
I got
out
some
about,
information about Brian.
Yeah.
No, it's
Where
really
did you
interesting.
find information?
I fucking weird fucking places, Johnny. All right? I've been experiencing new things. You know, in the bottom of my wallet. Actually, I found some information. But no, a collaboration that you did some years ago with one of my favorite actresses,
Oh,
Misty Monday.
yeah, yep.
So that was outstanding. What was that about?
It was one summer. I just got an email, and because I worked with EI Cinema,
Okay.
they picked up my first, well, not my first movie, but the first one that got distribution was called Soon to Be Dead,
Okay.
and it was basically just a crime drama action movie. It was the mid '90s. Horror was dead. I was into John Woo stuff.
Yeah.
So we did that for the hell of it, and they picked it up, and then they asked us to make At Dawn They Sleep. And I was the only one that they were working with at the time that was doing shootout stuff, gunplay and all that.
Yeah.
So they wanted to do this parody of Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So they called me up, said, "Hey, we need shootouts in this. Would you be interested in doing it?" So I'm like, "Yeah." At first, I read the script. I'm like, "What the hell am I gonna do with this?"
Right.
But it was awesome. It was a great time. It was all done in just 2 days.
No shit.
A Saturday and a Sunday, which was insane.
That's awesome.
But
Jeez.
yeah, it was different, but it was fun because it was like so high pressure. Had to get it done really fast. Of course, just did everything that we needed to get done while they were there.
Yeah.
And then we went back and spent some other days finishing the shootouts with just us, just the guys that were in it.
That's cool. Very cool.
That's how Ruby ended up in Bone Sickness.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Because I
gotcha.
was in the middle of writing that, and I ended up telling him, like, "Hey, I got this project. Would you be interested?" Because I thought she was great. She was great to work with.
Very cool.
You ever plan on working with her again, Ruby?
Yeah, it's just it gets tougher. It seems like as we get older, just to make more plans. That it's like, okay, you're gonna have someone come down for the weekend and someone who has to travel and everything. It's just I would love to, but it just hasn't gotten.
Yeah, it
to
seems
that
like
point
she's
yet.
been laying low. I don't know, unless I'm mistaken.
The last I knew was at Slaughter in Syracuse. She co-directed a movie with someone. So
Oh, okay, all right.
they were playing that there. So she's doing more behind the scenes stuff again now, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. How'd you find that out, Raven Shadow?
On the Facebook.
Oh, okay.
The Facebook.
On the Facebook.
No
yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah. And then I did some Google searches.
The weirdest thing about doing that one was I walk into Best Buy once, and it's like, okay, yep, I directed a softcore parody of Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Whatever. But then I walk into Best Buy one day and it's on the shelf. I'm like,
Nice.
what the fuck? Why is it? How is this in the store?
Do you have any bone sickness in the back?
Right next to Finding Nemo.
So, and then also the other one, Brian, Septic, which, as you said, is still kind of in progress. I guess give us a quick update on that, about what you can talk about the, kind of where it's at and everything.
It's just about done shooting. Literally, I could say we could have been done filming probably the end of last summer, but I keep adding stuff. And the most of the movie is done filming, but there is a couple of shots I just gotta, as you edit, you always end up finding out, all right, I gotta film this. All right, we need a shot here. We need a shot here. I think the very last scene of the movie has to be filmed. So aside from that, and I started editing. Kind of at a down point right now because my editing system just died, so I got to fix that.
Ooh.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Hopefully we'll get that fixed very soon. So I'm and it's winter, so it sucks trying to film in
Yeah.
New England.
Oh, yeah.
Because everyone gets soaked in blood, and we're torturing everyone in this movie, but it starts to get a little bad when it's only 20 degrees out.
Yeah, asking
yeah.
people to be covered in blood.
I almost have to apologize to you, because I didn't know what to expect when I showed up. You know what I mean? But like you run a good show, like you run a tight ship. Like I never felt like we were just like if we were sitting around, like we understood what was happening and what was like and I don't know, like I figured that like I'd seen the films, like you worked like with my fucking goofy friends all the time, so like I had no idea, like I guess I didn't have like a bad expectation. I had like no expectation, but like I've done a couple of things since, and like I would say that your setup rivals anything that like I've been in as far as like, you know, it was super professional. It was really good. I knew everything that like I had to do and knew what I had to do. And like I said, if we was sitting around, like we knew how long we were gonna like be down, and like it was great. Like I don't know, like for what your setup is, and that's the other thing that's cool that I'm anxious to see, because I know like I saw that room and I'm so anxious to see it like the way you shot it, you know what I mean? Because I could tell like you were shooting it like not to see this side and not, you know, to make it look bigger and like stuff like that. Like, you know, I have to say I was really impressed. Like I'm excited to see all of your films, but like I can't wait to see this because like I don't know, I have an even new appreciation for you. I guess
Cool.
as a
Thanks.
craftsman.
It's good to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to know that. And that was a good night. That was I loved that night.
Yeah.
Because that was the one shoot where that was the most people we had on set. Because this is a small film.
Right.
Yeah.
And to have, you know, like 12 people all on camera at the same time, and then we got the blanks going, and we got debris flying everywhere. That was, I loved it. That was just so much fun to shoot.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's not something I've done a ton of, obviously, but you know, we had a blast just hanging out and like if you weren't in the shot, you were trying to help out to make things work.
Right,
You were throwing debris, you were picking it back up and throwing it again. So no, it was a lot of fun. So you know, anytime, Brian. You know, obviously with if you need a couple of hands for something, you know,
Sure, man, for
certainly
you.
let us know.
What makes it fun is the fact that, you know, it's not just a bunch of like, it's not all just film students sitting there trying to, you know, get their next credit. We're all just a group of friends doing it and just
Making
having
it
fun doing it.
Right.
Yeah,
You-
yeah.
That's what made it so much fun to do.
So the first day I was on the show, it was me and MZ and you know, writer and friend Chris McGibbons.
Yes.
And like there's a point where I was like, he's trying to make it seem like me and Chris are fucking heavies hauling MZ around. Like this guy's gonna do some magic. But then I remembered that you fucking made it look like this guy could have a sword fight. So you're a fucking wizard. So we're probably gonna look like the scariest two motherfuckers on earth.
Yeah.
That scene is put together. It's very gritty, very just raw looking. So
Nice.
yeah, it came out good.
Yeah, and that was the thing. When I saw Blood Pigs, I was like, how's he gonna make MZ look like he can handle a fucking sword? And you did it. Like, and no offense, MZ. Like, obviously, like, you know, you're not trained. You know, you don't have like combat training, or you know, as far as I know, you've never practiced with swords, really,
Yeah.
right?
As you know.
But
So-
I've seen him try to work a remote control. So like,
Some
Like, I
sword
had-
fighting. Back
yeah, I didn't have any fucking.
His sword fighting is like at the fucking Pawtucket Red Sox games, trying to take a leak with all the other guys in the fucking
the trough.
in the trough. Yeah. So no, and you know, I think that you managed to do some really cool stuff and make it look great. And you know, obviously, like you can make a lot of things look good with really good editing. So you know, I think that's a testament to, you know, to that film and your abilities. And so now Septic is sort of like the elevator pitch was, you wanted to you're known for your gore and for really pushing the limit, but you kind of turned it up to 11 with Septic, right?
Yeah, Septic is by far the nastiest one we've done.
Yeah.
It's I'll admit it's a little mean spirited. It's an angry film.
Because all the other ones weren't.
They were
It's
passionate
more-
with the plucky spirit. They were very nice.
People like will say there's a difference between like watching Bone Sickness and watching Fetus.
Yeah.
This is Fetus, but much angrier. So
Jesus.
it's
So-
gonna be harsh.
So if you're a fan of Fetus, there you go. Like you can understand that this is going to be a lot more harsh. So, and obviously the little time that we were on set, the one night really, and from what Mars and MZ have relayed to us, and just from talking to you, Brian, it sounds like it's going to be pretty intense.
What's weird too is it's the only full length reality based movie I've made, because everything else we do is supernatural.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
that's what
yeah.
makes this one different. This is just
So the monsters are humans, really.
yeah. Yep.
And the interesting thing about it, and I'm sure you didn't necessarily plan it, but or at least because of you started filming this years ago, but with a lot of stuff that's going on right now politically, like human trafficking is something that's sort of like coming into light more, and so it's interesting that it might, when you do release Septic, it might be sort of at the height of this.
Right.
You
You know what's funny about it too? Like I remember, so we made it, and we kind of went away, and then that whole like, because I knew what it was, and we were talking about it on set, but then that whole like dark web.
Oh yeah.
Came into like Vogue. You know what I mean? It like kind of became like a buzzword for a while. So it was like, I felt like you were, you're really a trendsetter, like as far as like Homer Simpson sword fights and like get ahead of things. No, but like I was, like I found that very, very interesting. That like, you know, like of all the fucking things that like the Zangeist would move to all of a sudden, like like I never.
Zangief.
Yeah, Zangief. Which one was he? The one with the long arms? Oh no, that's Dalsim.
No, that's Dalsim.
Zangief was the actual.
I think he was the big.
Yeah. Because no, that's Baka.
Oh,
Zangief was the one that was based on the actual Russian Sabat fighter who ended up in New Japan for a while, whose name I think was something close to Zangief.
Yep.
And he looked like that. But like, you actually know who he fucking looked like? Salak.
Oh yeah.
Like he like looked like Zangief, if I recall, but like a 5 foot like 8 version of Zangief, like not you know what I mean, like not like a 12 foot tall, like just like this little squat.
We have first time Mike's hanging out now. It says evening family. Hello Brian, and what's up my dudes?
How's it going?
And then let's see, what did Corny say? Courtney has commented on your wallet and said you have a human-sized wallet now.
Yes. Very exciting.
And first time Mike wonders if you had wallet removal surgery.
I don't want to talk about it. I was gone and back. Mind your own beeswax.
2 weeks recovery from that surgery.
Yeah,
Great,
2
I
weeks.
wanna
Yeah.
talk about it, yeah.
Hey, it's not bad in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
And first time Mike says Raven Shadow has to train his body to deal with the decreased wallet weight now.
It's fucking weird, yeah. I'm walking all funny.
That's not from the wallet weight.
No, I don't want to. Embarrass me in front of Brian.
So, Brian, obviously you have a lot on your plate right now. You're going to have in fairly quick fashion, depending on how quickly Septic gets turned around, 2 films coming out. Is there something on the horizon? Because I know that as we've talked to you, making films is fucking hard. It takes it's a Herculean effort to get everything planned, to get everyone together, and to plan it out and to shoot it and everything. And so, is this something that is just in your DNA, something you want to keep doing as long as you can, or is it something that maybe take a step back and try some other stuff? Because I know you've been working on your music a little bit as well.
I want to keep it going.
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, it is getting so much more difficult. I don't know if it's just because we're getting older or whatever, but it just seems it's just very difficult to get everything put together. It's getting to the point where I hate the organizing part.
Yep.
Like, look, I mean, I used to suck when you used to have to call everybody. At least now I could just text everyone and say, hey, you available?
Yeah, it does make it easier.
I would love to have someone else do that from now on.
Yep.
Because that just is exhausting when I'm trying to come up with storylines and stuff. But
yeah,
I definitely want to keep it going. Once Septic is done filming, but editing takes a while anyways. But yeah, I'm definitely going to take a little bit of a break because I never realized until a friend mentioned it that I just filmed, I think, 3 movies back to back without a break.
Yeah.
Jeez, all right.
I think
Peter Jackson over here.
Actually, Cryptic Plasm. No, Blood Pigs, Cryptic Plasm. Morbid Tales, actually, yeah. And now Septic. So 4.
4, yeah.
There was never a break between any of those. And so, yeah, it's getting a little exhausting.
Yeah, it's
Well,
pretty crazy.
Yeah, but I can imagine now that when you appeared in Fangoria magazine,
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be kind of like, everyone's going to be expecting, okay, what's the next film coming out? When the next film coming out? So, I don't know, maybe you can take yourself a break because you do still have these 2 films coming out.
Yeah, I mean,
just to satisfy the audience.
It was, 3-4 years ago that we released Cryptic Plasm. So, yeah, I'm good for the next 5 years.
Yeah, so I did want to mention that as well. So in the first issue of the sort of return of Fangoria, you were featured. Well, S. Craig Zahler wrote a piece that basically featured Morbid Division films. So, I remember this because it was at Rock and Shock, and I think MZ found a copy of the magazine. Jimmy had it, right? Jimmy, our buddy Jimmy Gonzalez. And then so you brought it over so Brian could see it, and your picture was in it, MZ. You from Fetus, right?
Under a shitload of latex and blood, but yeah, that was me.
So I don't think we had
actually
a chance.
doubling for
Kevin.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't think we had a chance to talk to you about this, Brian. But how did that feel seeing that in fucking Fangoria?
Yeah, it was amazing.
yeah.
I mean, it was
I don't know how it
dream
could be
come
anything
true.
but
It's
yeah.
Dude, you must have taken a double load in your pants when you saw that.
Double load.
Wow. It was just the first email when Craig Zahler emailed me and told me about it. This was 6 months beforehand.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit. Okay, yeah.
So, and you couldn't tell anyone either, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was sitting on that information for at least 6 months.
That had to been more painful.
And they didn't know when it was coming out yet, too. So I'm like, oh my God, when's this coming out?
Yeah, that's really fucking cool. Did you see any uptick after the article came out?
We're actually just feeling it now.
Oh, okay.
It took a little bit to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, also orders are starting. We actually just get an email today saying the guy said right in it that he found out about the movies through Fangoria.
Nice.
So.
And do you guys have decent stock for some of the older movies?
We have 4 that's available on the website.
Okay.
Some of the older ones we're hopefully gonna do something with a DVD-R or something. But
yeah,
again, it just even though DVD seems to be dying out, they're not making it any easier to get them made. It still hasn't. They haven't dropped the price. Nothing. Actually,
well, it's funny. It probably hit a sweet spot where like that sort of thing where like it's expensive because it's in demand, and then it's expensive because it's, not the medium of like choice.
Yeah.
Like
one surprising thing I just read about DVDs and Blu-rays is how they're not making the 4K Blu-rays anymore, or Samsung isn't, and they said Blu-ray did not take over for DVD in the article. Said DVD is still more popular.
That's interesting.
Which I thought was interesting.
It's more cost effective.
Well, yeah, in our circles, in terms of people who really appreciate film and checking out sort of like the extra features and all these different, like Shout Factory and Scream Factory and things like that. Seems like people in our circles are really into Blu-ray, but I imagine sort of the layman, the normal person, just doesn't give a fuck. You know,
probably. So,
I guess if as long as they're going to keep making DVD, people are going to keep buying it. I guess so. I'm still always surprised, and I guess a lot of them now you can get the triple pack where it comes with a Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy. So
a lot of them come like that now. Yeah, they put them together.
Yeah. So if anyone out there wants to purchase anything, morbidvisionfilms.com is the site, and right on there they can purchase stuff. Right, Brian?
Yep.
Cool.
We got which ones? Fetus, Bone Sickness, Blood Pigs, and Cryptic Plasm.
Yep.
There's a glitch on there that says sold out for Fetus, but we just can't get that off there for some reason. We do have Fetus.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So if anyone out there wants it, and if you have any problems, you can let us know, or just contact Brian or Morbid Vision through Facebook or social media. I'm sure. So yeah, I'm looking at the pictures right here. Fetus. There's MZ. That's the one with all the blood, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that might have been the first time I shot with you. I don't.
It was, yeah.
It was. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it because it was like 12 o'clock midnight, or 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, or whatever it was, in his basement, fucking cold as hell. It was during the winter, I think. I'm almost certain of it.
Most likely.
And you had me chained up. My arms were chained up, and you ran these 2 hoses, these 2 tubes behind on my back and the back of my neck, and you put this little appliance there so you could just so you could get that box cutter and just start slicing. The blood starts coming out. Then you had these 2 tubes run up the top of my head, so the blood just starts pouring down my head with a mixture of, and I remember it was a mixture of loose blood and thick blood.
Oh yeah.
So it, when combined, it gives a really good consistency. And at the end, I thought I looked like I was in the movie Hostel, for Christ's sake. we're all done shooting.
If you were in Hostel, you wouldn't have had as much blood on you.
That's true.
True. We're all done shooting. I jump into your shower, and I'm just caked in this fake blood shit, and it's just, it felt great. I loved it. But goddamn, getting that shit off is a pain in the ass.
It's called the red shower.
Yes, it is.
So I'm looking here on the. By the way, if you guys want to go to morbidvisionfilms.com, just click on Morbid Vision Films Store, and you guys even have some. There's the Fetus score, the film score.
Yes.
People can purchase that, and is that a physical copy?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, so
they're CDRs. They're not professionally pressed, but
yes, still check that out.
The music's on there,
so you can get the Fetus score. There's looks like you have some movie photo books as well for Blood Pigs and for Fetus, and there are some.
I gotta jump in on that.
Some DVDs for Bone Sickness. I love the German customers.
Schwein.
Yeah.
Gott in Himmel.
Well, because Fetus got banned.
Yeah. Yeah.
We kept getting German customers, but the problem is, it got to the point where a lot of their orders were getting confiscated.
Right.
And then once Black Lava started picking up, we just tell everyone, buy from Black Lava.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at least it's already in Europe. You're probably not going to have a problem. But when it comes from the United States,
when it goes through customs, is that sort of the deal?
well, yeah, and also as soon as they see our address,
Right.
Oh.
That's the Brian Paulin.
yeah, my
Get him.
Morbid Vision Films, my name, and even my home address is on a government website in Germany. So
Wow.
They watch
Really?
for us. Yeah.
They invented the Holocaust. Like, what the fuck? Like, not for nothing.
They invented.
Like, for real, you just make pictures. Like, got some fucking balls there. Fucking Adolf. What the fuck? I don't know. Got some fucking balls on you.
Adolf Paulin.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
He makes fantasy pictures. They fucking did a lot of bad things. You know,
That's the first time that one's come up. Usually people bring up the shit porn.
But in the grand scheme of things, this isn't that bad. They were like, we're leaving the Jews alone. We're just picking on the horror dude.
Not for nothing. We did some bad things. Like, I'm sorry, Germany. Michael Ravenschild has a hole, and like he doesn't understand.
Listen, I love my German brothers and sisters, but the 40s scares the fucking shit out of me. You know what I mean?
Look,
Yeah, but we did some stuff in the 40s
look,
too. Like,
when it comes to
talk to the
gore
You did some
films,
stuff in the 40s. In
when it
Montreal.
comes to gore films, being, Germany and Japan are the apex of gore films. No one tops them. Okay, and for Germany to say, Brian, we're not going to have this shit.
Yeah.
That's saying something. That's a true feather in your cap, dude. It really is.
Well, one thing, the first time Mike just said in the chat room, he says, what makes me laugh about that, the German horror of the 90s, like Der Necromantik and The Burning Moon,
Right.
are just as bloody.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, those filmmakers got arrested for it.
right. They got thrown in the steel
Yeah,
tank.
Olaf Ittenbach.
Yeah.
And
Bernadette, they had to
Butgereit,
hide. They had to hide the masters of Necromantic 2.
yeah,
They
they
were
were
gonna destroy it,
seized.
yeah.
Yeah, that was seized by police officials, by German police.
It's a fucking movie.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
want me?
during its premiere, the master print of Necromantic 2 was seized.
Wow.
And
Yeah, they're big fans of Master Prince.
it was crazy. It's just. And if you watch Necromantic 2, I mean, yeah, it's got its moments, but for the most part, it's really a very
It's almost a
drawn
drama,
out,
yeah.
talky film.
It's got like an extreme beginning and an extreme end, and then the middle is
It-
just.
Yeah.
I always had the
character.
impression that I felt like it was almost like the beginning and end was the movie, and everything else was like just like filler. Like it was a short film almost that they
Yeah.
put a drama sandwich in the middle of.
Did they also, is that film you like, MZ, the Cannibal, was that also made in Germany?
It's about Germany.
By Marian Dora.
Yeah.
That is German, yes.
Okay, yeah. Because
Yes.
obviously I know it took place there. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if it was made
Yeah,
there.
that was.
Yeah, but there's not much they can do about it. They would just that's from there. They would have been like, you can't. All right, it's fine.
Well, a friend. I have a friend. I don't know. maybe-
That's
maybe
fucking
you know.
fantasy.
Really?
right
You have
there.
a friend?
Yeah. That story just got banned in Germany.
Manouche, you know
Oh, yeah.
Manouche?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did the narration for that movie.
That's
A friend of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Cannibal?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. So obviously we have, the other thing I wanted to ask Brian, and I think you guys have done this in the past. What's your take on crowdfunding?
I wish I never did it.
Okay.
I regret it.
Yeah.
And that's major reason why Morbid Tales has never come out yet.
For which film did you do it for? Was it Cryptic Plasm?
It was Cryptic Plasm, and then we came up with the stupid, idiotic idea of, let's add Morbid Tales to it, so it's an extra perk.
Oh.
It backfired.
Yeah, that stuff's tough because a lot of times you just don't know kind of the end game of that, right? Like you
It
think
worked
like
fine for Cryptic Plasm. We raised the money for it, but you don't realize how much extra shipping it costs to send all the perks.
yeah.
And now we have to pay out of our own pocket to send out all those Morbid Tales, and most of them are overseas.
Oh man.
So that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should have a crowdfunding to pay for that.
I'm not you can donate to the website, but I'm never doing a crowdfunding again. I don't care. Even if I never make another movie again, I'll never do it again. I hate it. The worst part is knowing you have it looming over your head.
Right.
Yeah.
I have people's money and I owe them something.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly see that. I've seen the flip side too. I've seen like our friends over at Mixtape Massacre.
Well, yeah, that's crazy.
They got funded in less than a day, which is insane. This is their third Kickstarter, and they keep getting like funded faster and faster. So, obviously they have a lot of traction with like they've gotten the game out there a lot, but that still is like holy shit. It's fucking crazy that they're able to do it, and it's awesome. But it doesn't always work out that way. And I've heard a lot of horror stories about crowdfunding like yours, Brian, where, it's like, hey, well, we want to sweeten the pot and make it really, really awesome for the fans because that's what they're giving you money to help this thing. So you want to make it worth their while.
You get caught up in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's unfortunate that happened because, as obviously as a friend and also as a fan of yours, I want to see your stuff get out there to people, and I want, I don't want it to be a financial strain on you. That's the thing is, it sucks that it takes so much time. First of all, it's a passion project for you. You do it because you love it, and obviously the accolades are nice, but I'm sure you're not doing it for the accolades. If you're doing it for that, you probably wouldn't be in the business to, just for accolades. But, there's this sort of weird thing. And especially now we talk a lot about digital media and this sort of like attitude that people have of like, oh, well, it's a movie. Well, can I watch it on Netflix? No, oh no, it's not there. Okay. I'll torrent it,
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised if you've been hurt pretty bad by that. And, there's a flip side to it. There's, hey, my shit got torrented, so I'm not getting money for it. But then there's the flip side of, hey, there's all these other people that saw my movie that may not have seen it or may not have bought it anyways. Where do you sort of fall on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that at least people get to see it because that's the main reason we're making movies in the first place is just to entertain people. I'm not in it for a career because, I mean, I definitely can't do that when it takes 2 to 3 years to finish a movie. So it's funny people talk about people downloading. I don't so much have a problem with the downloaders. It's the so-called fans that upload it. It's the uploaders.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that because, yeah, you're right.
No one ever mentions that. It's
you're right.
It's not the downloading people doing it that's causing your problem. It's the person who put it there in the first place.
Right. And, you can't. So it's sort of like, I don't know, like if someone robs a bank and and then like during the escape, like money goes everywhere and people are taking money. Like you can't necessarily blame the people for taking money that got scattered around.
Yeah.
It's the people who initially committed the crime, right?
And it's like, it's some guy who just like, oh, I want to make my channel look as good as possible.
Yeah.
Look at my great channel on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really good point, and one that I haven't even heard brought up very often in regard to that conversation. So it's
We had that happen to us on YouTube. Some guy was doing
yeah, I
his
remember
own
Oh, yeah.
horror host show,
yeah,
and he did Blood Pigs.
Mm-hmm.
And someone sent it to me. I wrote to that guy. I'm like, what do you think you're doing? That's our movie. You can't just use our movie in your show. And he just did not understand why we had a problem with it.
right. And that's the thing. Like, I think there's this attitude now of just like, oh well, it's all public domain. If it's on the internet, it's fair game, and people don't understand the ramifications of how that can, like for lack of a better term, take food off of someone's plate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Don't do that.
well, we won't take food off your plate, Mars. So it is unfortunate, and and Brian brings up a good point. Is that it's really the person who commits the crime that should be the one who is punished, and the people who are downloading it, they're not really helping, but it's available because someone else put it up there.
Yeah.
So
On the other side of it, years ago, 3 other filmmakers asked me if I'd be a part of something. They were getting a hold of a lawyer, and they had some software where we'd be able to find out exactly who downloaded everything.
yeah,
Like, you want to be a part of this? And right away, I'm like, no, I
yeah,
don't want to do that.
yeah,
I'm like, it's like, okay, fine. It sucks that, the movies are being torrented, but I'm not going after all the horror fans. That's stupid.
yeah.
I'm like, it's just, again, it's still, I don't know.
That's how Metallica lost a shitload of fans.
Yeah.
Well, they're still doing all right.
I mean,
Yeah, true, but still.
still, even though, all right, we're losing money, whatever, it's just another horror fan. I'm not going to go send a lawyer after another horror fan. That's just, that's stupid.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty cool.
The other guys are shocked that I said that.
Yeah,
They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want any part of that.
yeah, and I think that's pretty admirable. It is, it's an argument that I can see both sides of, but it's a real tough one because like what are you gonna do?
That's the thing. Now it's just there's nothing you can do. It is what it is now. So if you're gonna get into making movies, you gotta know that this exists. I see people like, how do I get this? They're talking about how do we get this taken off? It's like, just deal with it. There's nothing you can do about it anymore.
Yep, it's sort of this day and age, unfortunately. Yeah.
Ask any band that's a professional band that has CDs out.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, and and especially now with the way that digital media, the everything is just readily available. And
Well, not for nothing, but the legal ways that you can get music right now aren't really doing anybody any fucking favors either.
No.
well, yeah, and same thing with
Well, the record company's always been ripping.
Like we made $1.50 from Spotify last year, and I think that means that I'm wicked fucking famous because we get 0.00001 cent per
Play.
stream. Yeah,
Seriously?
yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah. So like for and I don't know what Apple Music's buying. It's probably not that much better, So we just put out a dumb cover, and like I know some people have got it, but like it has to get to be $100 before the people who handle our digital stuff cuts us a check, and I haven't got that fucking check yet. So like it's just like there is no like art is dead as commerce right now, unless like you really want to fucking go out and like do the convention thing. Like that's the only money in it, and that buy-in now is so fucking ridiculous. Like,
the price keeps going up and up for that.
yeah,
too.
you have to make for no offense for guests who are getting paid to be there, like to pay their fucking bonus, they're gutting the blood and guts of the convention, which is the marketplace.
Yeah.
Like it's really tough. Like I would love to do them all the time, but like the buy-in, like you end up doing the convention, and then the buy-in is so much. Like you either have a great weekend and break even,
Yeah.
but can't afford to do another convention,
Yeah,
or
We got lots of people asking us, "Oh, will you guys come here and come here?" I'm like, "We can't afford to travel.
Right.
Yeah.
It costs so much just to get the table. Never mind the
Yeah.
gas. And then you have to get a hotel once you're traveling.
Right, and then
That kills you all your profits.
you're lucky if you break even
Yeah.
at that point.
So it's tough. I wish we could go everywhere.
And at that point, just tell them to fucking download the torrent, right?
I've told people that at Rocket Shop. People are like, "Oh, do you have any online screens?" I'm like, "You can find it. Just go." Someone asked about bone sickness. I'm like, "It's everywhere. Go ahead. You'll find it."
Man, there's something still got to give because it's still sort of trying to find its way through. It's wading through the waters and trying to find out what's going to stick. And I don't know that anything is gonna, but this is a very difficult time to be an artist and to make money off of being an artist. And you do have to be really good at marketing yourself and being savvy with social media to even like make it worth your while, because you have to be on YouTube or Twitch maybe and advertising on your videos, putting shit out there, like paying for followers on Instagram or whatever, and until you build up enough following where you're getting some traction, and at that point like you don't have time to make a fucking movie because you're doing all that shit. And or you can maybe get into the Patreon game or something like that. And then people are continuing to fund.
It all makes me
fund
brutally
you.
uncomfortable, though, for that
Oh,
very
no,
reason.
I agree,
You know
I
what
agree,
I mean?
yeah.
Like, I was talking.
We hate asking people
Yeah.
for money,
Yeah.
Well, I had this conversation with Tiny the other day. Like, imagine if we had set up, like, a crowdfunding thing or even a Patreon, right? And I'm the front man of the Deadites, and I'm on this show. So people are probably going to want me to be in a lot of that content, or some of that content, right? I get fucking cancer. Then what fucking happens, right? Like I can't make any of that stuff. I'm a year behind on stuff that people paid me for. So like Brian said, like I have scripts that I owe people that like legitimately like there was commerce or other things exchanged, and like they don't have that, like, and now we're going to, like, the fucking Olympics, and they don't have that fucking script yet. Some of it's been, like, 3.5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like, imagine if, like, there was, like, a constant stream of money, and, or Tiny broke his hand, or Johnny got hepatitis, or something
Jesus
happened.
Christ, what?
Just going to the gym. It's
I
everywhere.
think maybe you should take that one.
All right.
That's the last
Well,
time
no,
my
no,
tongue
no.
kissed you, George.
I already got cancer, so that's a real life thing that happened. But like it's fucking like all that stuff like is like, or somebody gets divorced. Like all that stuff is like contingent on that you're fucking roaring ready and rock steady, and like you're not always,
Life doesn't work that way.
Right? Yeah, it's terrifying. All
Someone
that
just
stuff
told
is-
me I should do a Patreon, and right away I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. That just sounds like so much more responsibility and headaches and not wanting to wake up anymore in the morning.
Why? To be fair, though, now that you mention it, I have that problem, and no one's giving me any money for anything, so maybe I'm in the wrong business.
I mean, some people are able to make it work, and we know this because we kind of examined it, Mars. But Amanda Palmer, her Patreon is ridiculous. Like, she does insanely well, but people really connect with her, and she's out there and putting herself out there and making great music, and people like it and they want to pay her for it. So it's just this weird sort of line of fandom of, do you like something enough to help support that person to continue to pump it out, or are you just gonna kind of like be a fucking vampire and siphon off of them until they don't do it anymore because they're stressed out because they can't pay their bills or whatever, so it's this fine line of what makes someone want to help support someone versus not. So it's sort of the age-old debate, and I think you got to be really savvy, and you have to be a salesperson and sell yourself. And if you're not, chances are you're not going to be out there and getting crowdfunding or hits on your videos or whatever. So
I suck as a salesperson, so.
and to be fair, you should just be able to focus
Make
on
art,
your
right.
art. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing.
I mean,
I
I
mean, you
get
got
it.
enough people working under you, in this company where you can have people do that for you.
Although, sorry, MZ, but you should working because
Right.
Obviously
Well,
Brian
you know
can't
what
pay.
I mean.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
Brian
But I mean-
can't pay anyone a
it's
salary
not-
because
it's
no one
not-
because
it's not- yeah.
Yeah,
But
you
you
say
know.
that, but there's 5 people that sit at this table every single week and like 22 deadites, and you only ever hear from me and Johnny. And so like, you know, it's not like there's a fucking volunteer army out there that knows what to do. Forget about like wanting to, like you wouldn't know what to do. It's not a bad thing. Like Raven Shadow wouldn't know what to do. It's not a bad thing. It's just not what you fucking do. You know what I mean? Like maybe people would like to help Brian, but they don't know what to do. The people who probably know what to do are fucking promoting their own stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
So if people out there do want to help support, you know, I don't want to drone on too long about it, but if people do want to help support, morbidvisionfilms.com, you can buy stuff from Brian right there, and he even mentioned there's a donation as well, right, Brian? If people
Actually,
wanna...
no, there isn't. I was just joking.
Okay.
If people want to hand us money, cool. There's that thing on Facebook. I think you can send money, whatever, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
He'll just put out a tin cup. Please fill it.
By the way, Mars, your son is now in the chat room, Pabst.
Oh, great. Are they both there?
they're
Maybe they
both.
should introduce themselves to each other.
I don't know. Pabst says, "Evening all, and a big hello to Mr. Brian Paulin."
Hello.
I still haven't told Pat about Alberta. Like Thanksgiving's getting crowded. Hey, Paps, I got good news. We'll talk later.
Pabst says, "Here to hang before I pass out. 5 a.m. comes far too quickly."
All right. Well, maybe I'll tell you another time. Paps, you ever want a sister?
Do you ever want a sister?
Yeah.
Jesus. All right.
It's
So
not my fault, Wolfie.
it's not your fault that you impregnated all these women.
I think they just heard aquaphobic and all got spontaneously pregnant.
Pabst says, "Jesus, another brother."
Well, no,
Oh.
not exactly.
Christmas isn't going to be quite as good this year.
Well, the good news is we can have our own like fucking
Your daughter just said hi.
Irish-
Hey to Pabst.
Irish swap or whatever that's called.
Irish swap.
Yeah.
An Irish swap. I think that's when you make out with your cousin in
Oh, well.
Ireland, right?
Whoa, hey, hey,
Aries,
whoa.
tell us, what do you know about
Yeah.
Hey.
What's an Irish swap, Aries?
I have never heard that term. I think you're thinking of a southern swap, maybe?
No,
I don't
no,
know.
Yeah, that sounds like an Alabama swap.
No, like a Yankee swap.
Oh, Corny's in
That's what I
Alabama.
Chime in, Corny.
Yankee swap, I mean. Yankee swap. That's all. Yeah.
Irish swap.
Yeah.
Those
Or
are
Tennessee swap.
That's
I
when
can
you
see how you
drink.
confuse those terms.
Yeah, that's when you drink too much and you just like
Hey,
take,
I'm
take anyone
Irish.
home.
I obviously wasn't being self-derogatory. I'm a good Irishman. Just because my name is Dynamo and my middle name is Susan, and that doesn't sound Irish. Doesn't mean it's not.
All right, so and Brian, is there anywhere else people can follow your stuff? Obviously, I know you guys are on Facebook, but where can folks find you for social media?
Under my name on Facebook, Brian Paulin, and on Instagram, I'm under Brian Morbid Vision Films.
Cool. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow Brian, once again, morbidvisionfilms.com if you want to go ahead and purchase some stuff. And obviously, and there's a Morbid Vision's Facebook page as well, right?
Yeah, I always forget that's
Yeah.
there. That was my original page. I used to post under Morbid Vision Films, and then they
And
made
they
it so
changed it, yeah.
and I got forced with that, and I keep forgetting it's there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I never update it. Again,
So-
I suck at marketing.
If anyone out there wants to volunteer to help out with marketing, there's some opportunities. And also, if there's any people out there who just have fucking money laying around and want to get into like film and want to help produce a film, then get in touch with Brian.
Oh, I'll be a whore for money. I don't care. I'm sick of being broke.
So,
Hey, keep your pants on there,
whoa,
Mars.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hey.
Well, I didn't mean
When he
right
said
now.
he didn't do anything,
Literally,
when he said he'd do
the
anything
whore.
for money, he didn't mean that.
How many scarves you wearing today, Mars?
Jesus Christ.
Mind your own business.
What? What are you talking about? Mind your own business.
I
just asked how many scarves you're wearing.
He's like
How many
Steven Tyler over here.
Yeah, walk this way off a fucking cliff. Dream on, Monster Zero. No, I think I have 2 on. One to cover my neck scars and one for fashion.
Wow. Is that how you roll?
Well, I don't know. Earlier today I had 3, but it was cold.
You
So
probably
you took one off?
no. He probably like stepped on it and lost it, or got
No,
caught
I
in a
didn't.
caster of a wheel. Aries, it looks like you're wearing a scarf.
Yeah.
Usually you say I look like I'm wearing suspenders.
You
when
know what?
wear
I
this.
was
I just looked
I
real
was
quick.
getting side eye from Raven Shadow when I was talking about my scarves over there. That's not very nice, Mr. fucking Target button-down $7.99 shirt. You go get him.
What are you talking about?
I'm cutting the fucking Transformer line.
Pap says, hey, a sister I can deal with. And first time Mike wants to be an adopted cousin, Mars.
No, you don't.
Be careful, cause
Yeah, it costs you money to get in that family.
Yeah, you don't want in. All right, I think what we'll do now, I think we'll take a break in just a few moments, and then we'll take a break. Raven Shadow can go for a smoke. I know he's jonesing.
Oh.
And
He's
then
sweating. Look at him.
Yeah.
He really is.
you keep a little pocket towel in your wallet.
No, it doesn't fucking fit anymore.
Well, grab it out of your purse.
Action sack.
Action sack.
You know what? Keep some little Kleenex under your wristband there.
Aw, that's a good idea, actually.
Oh, do you have some? Isn't there your fucking little change purse that you fucking squeeze in like a vagina? That one?
Jesus.
A vagina?
A
Yeah,
vagina.
A vagina.
a vagina.
Yeah, you don't want those.
All right, so we haven't done this in a couple weeks because you weren't here, Raven
I
Shadow.
know.
So if you guys want to help support the show, you can do so a few ways. Head on over to trickortreatradio.com. Scroll down. You're going to see a link to Amazon. Click on it, and it'll bring you right to Amazon. Input our affiliate link. Everything you purchase in that session gets attributed to us. Doesn't cost them any extra, Raven Shadow.
But it helps keep the lights on.
That's right. And we do have a donate button. So if you guys want to donate money, scroll down, look for the PayPal donate button, click it. You can add any denomination. All money that we receive will go towards hosting fees for the website, for the podcast, for equipment, for whatever. Our good buddy Corny has a reoccurring payment through PayPal. So every month we get a little bit of money from Corny. So we appreciate that, buddy. So if anyone out there wants to help out, please feel free. Also, one way you could help out that is free is to give us a review, especially on Apple Podcasts, iTunes. If you guys haven't done so yet and you have an account, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. And then also just leave a few words for what you dig about the show so other people can check it out. And maybe that'll help them decide to listen to it, because the more reviews, the higher up the charts we move, and we can get some more ears on the show. We'd appreciate that. And most of you guys already know, but we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, Satchel Podcast Player. And we also have a store on trickortreatradio.com. If you want, you can buy some digital goods. We have Trick or Treat Radio Volumes, Greatest Hits Volumes 1, 2, and 3. And we have some other premium content, and there's also some physical goods. So if you're interested, check it out. Raven Shadow, you sit down to watch Lords of Chaos, true Norwegian black metal. What do you do to prepare?
I had some company over, and we watched my first Kurosawa movie,
Oh, which one do you watch?
Rashomon.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at you.
I'm a big fan. I tend towards Dreams, just because I just love how surreal and crazy it is. But
You
that's
mentioned that
just
before,
me.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, she got Last Fortress. I want to see. No, Last Fortress, Hidden Fortress.
The inspiration for Star Wars.
Right. I definitely want to see Yojimbo. But yeah, no, we're checking out some.
That might be my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, we're talking about doing some monocle film nights. So,
Oh,
yeah.
look at
yeah.
look at the pants on Raven Shadow.
I know, yeah, new wallet, old films. It's nice. But then
You're a changed man in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I'm still, some fucking things.
He's still a scorpion.
Yeah, and still drinking too much and smoking too much. But so as a result,
Oh,
after
not enough.
oh yeah, fair. But no, then after that, I took the DVD out and I threw it ablaze in the snow, went in the fire pit, and then I drew a big pentagram with my snowblower.
Did you burn your barn?
I don't know. I'm looking for a bond. If you get a PayPal, I need a shed because I don't know what my
True
snowblower.
Norwegian
Oh, wait,
barn
you're messing
burning.
with the snowblower?
Yeah,
You throw
listen.
your back out again?
No, it came fucking close to Aries. I almost called you, but no. So I drew a pentagram in the snow, and then I praised Hail Satan and got ready to strap on.
Do you love a scary story? Do you love to dance? The Big Scary Monster Haunts at Midnight is a collection of dark songs about sex, love, death, revenge, and the end of the world. Brought to you by the world's greatest monster hunting electro-shock band, the Deadites.
Street Radio is the greatest podcast ever invented. The spelling is very bad. I'm not sure who wrote this. And the Deedites? The Deedites. Is that a company that procures houses? The Deadites. Oh, it's the Deadites. The Deadites are a fantastic musical act. That is what I was supposed to say. And there you go. There it is. Cheeseburger. Remember to Rent the Fly, because that's a good movie for making love to.
Jeff Goldblum, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we can get you on the show again sometime soon.
Oh, delicious nerds. Ms. M knows you like to chat it up with other sexy shut-ins about comics, movies, video games, and your favorite TV shows. If that sounds like you, cuddle up to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group, or the FIB. That stands for Fan Interaction Board. Just go to Facebook and search for Trick or Treat Radio and have more fun than a Jedi at a lightsaber sale. Not enough? Watch us on YouTube, The Deadites TV, all one word. Last but not least, check out the world's most dangerous talk radio show, Trick or Treat Radio, at trickortreatradio.com.
It's not a problem at all. I got plenty of noodles over there. Problem at all. I got plenty of noodles over there. I became desperate. I'm not going to take part in your little nursery here. I'm leaving. First time I did it, I totally grossed myself out. I'm not the fucking Red Cross, and I'm no nurse. You're on your own, woman.
We're back on Trick Radio. That was the Silver Bullet Moon remix.
Are we playing that on the...
Yeah, we should. You're on your own, woman.
You're on your own, woman.
Oh, wait, I got one more. Let me turn it up a little.
I'm eating roast beef.
All right. Enough fun with MZ.
Leave me alone, will you?
You're on your own, woman.
I'm a starving artist just trying to get by.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man, has Brian ever seen the tuck dance?
No, Brian does not want to see the
Come
tuck
on,
dance.
it's something really scary?
Oh, Jesus.
Put
Christ.
that on.
Yeah, put that in your movie.
First time I did it, I totally grossed myself out.
And by the way,
what
those,
the hell? It made Dynamo happy.
Those sound clips are from Blood Pigs. Oh, man. We love you, MZ.
Yeah, right.
We do.
No, Know what I'd like to have happen? I'd like sometime Brian to go back to some of his action roots, throw me through a window and shoot me up and stuff.
That could be cool.
Have me
We could
jump
do
through
that.
the air shooting guns. I've always wanted to do that.
It's fun.
Though I look terrible holding guns. Like you think the microphone thing's a problem? Ask Tiny what it was like doing the photo shoot when I had those cavalry revolvers. He kept having to come over and raise the revolver back up again because I kept getting they're too heavy for my small hands.
Tired. Yeah.
Well, it does happen. It gets heavy. We had heavy hands, Johnny, on the set of Septic.
That's right. Well, yeah. They ended up getting pretty heavy.
Those black guns, they're different. Yeah, they're heavy. They got weight to them.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back from break now, and we're going to talk about our film for the week, and that is Lords of Chaos. This film is rated R. It is an hour and 58 minutes. It's classified as a biography, drama, horror, and it is directed by Jonas Åkerlund and is written by Dennis Magnuson, who wrote the screenplay, along with Jonas Åkerlund. Let's see, there's 2 more credits. It's inspired by the book, obviously, from Michael Moynihan and Diedrich Soderlund, who wrote the book Lords of Chaos. And the film stars Rory Culkin, Emery Cohen, Jack Kilmer, Sky Ferreira, Walter Skarsgård, Anthony De La Torre, and Jonathan Barnwell. The synopsis: a teenager's quest to launch Norwegian black metal in Oslo in the early 1990s results in a very violent outcome. So, we just recently reviewed a film from Jonas Åkerlund. We did Polar a few weeks ago. And at the time, I actually didn't know some information about Jonas. But it turns out that he was the drummer. I don't know was he the original drummer, Brian?
I think he was the original one, yeah.
The original drummer of the Swedish black metal band Bathory. And the fun fact I found out, that's Brian, one of your favorite bands, right?
My favorite band of all time.
There you go. So,
do they do any Phil Collins covers?
Doubtful. So Jonas Åkerlund was a member of the Swedish black metal band Bathory from 1983 to 84, and Brian had told me that it was prior to them actually releasing their first album, right?
Yeah, I think it's just from the demos.
Yeah. So he was in early on, and so he, if you've heard any of their stuff, you haven't heard him play drums, at least on the albums. But interesting, and I think that it makes a lot of sense to have someone who was kind of in, maybe not in Oslo at the time of Mayhem's rise, but at least sort of has a frame of reference for black metal, right?
They actually were friends. There's photos of I heard just in an interview with them. There is photos with Jonas with them, but there's pictures of Quorthon from the lead singer of Bathory.
Oh, okay.
There's pictures of Quorthon with Dead, which is
interesting. Yeah,
pretty cool photo.
Yeah, so even there's even more ties. It's not just that he was in a black metal band. He seemingly knew Mayhem and some of the people in Mayhem. So that is pretty interesting and gives him a good glimpse into sort of that world, So I would say I kind of want to go around the room first and sort of talk about. I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be, but I just want to set a frame of reference. So I like black metal. I don't know a lot about Mayhem. I know their place in metal history, but I just had never really taken a deep dive into them. And I'd never read the book either, Lords of Chaos. So there's a lot that I didn't know. So heading in, I don't know how accurate this was. I just wanted to watch the movie and then research after because I just wanted to I didn't want any preconceived notions or anything like that. I just wanted to let the movie sort of wash over me and then sort of find out a little bit more afterwards. So with that, I think I know the answer for everyone, but does anyone besides Brian, did you guys know, had you read the book, did you know anything about Mayhem or this sort of time period where this took place?
Well, I have a friend, and some of us here have a friend, Music Quest Bob.
Yeah.
Who's a huge black metal fan. And I know him playing me stuff. And
I love that fucking dude.
Yeah, dude's awesome.
Talking about things, I know a certain of the some of the myth and the legend of some of these bands, like the whole legend of there's this band in Sweden and the whole singer wanted to kill himself and the whole band ate him, all kinds of weird like nuggets. And I didn't know this was a biography. I just kind of put it on and played it. But as the movie was progressing and things started to jog my memory, I'm like, okay, well, I heard of this.
Yeah.
I almost first thought it might be an amalgam of like how black metal came to Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Then little by little, I'm like, no, I think Mayhem is a band that I've heard of, and I think it's Bob's one of his favorite bands.
Yeah.
And little by little, I'm like, oh, this is, I think, is a not a documentary. Well, I guess it's no.
Well, no, it's a biopic.
Biopic, yeah.
That is supposedly takes. I mean, it is a film, so I think it does take some liberties. But as Brian will probably let us know, because he's very familiar with this. So, but for the most part, it seems to be fairly accurate.
The one part I was watching, I'm like, that motherfucker was kind of like Macaulay Culkin. And my friend was like, yeah, it's Kit Culkin, his brother. I'm like, oh.
It's Rory.
Rory.
Yeah.
How many? It's like the fucking Skarsgårds. How many fucking of them are there? It's like Hemsworth, Skarsgårds, and fucking.
There's like 5.
Gronkowskis.
There's like 5 of them or something like that.
In an interview, he said 7. There's 7 of them. Yeah.
Holy shit!
7 Skarsgårds or 7 brothers or some shit.
So that's pretty crazy. So that's kind of our frame of reference. Now I want to ask Brian. Brian, obviously, I know Bathory is your favorite band, and I know that you are fairly steeped in this. So how I don't want to talk too much about the accuracy of the film just yet, but I guess what is your level of knowledge coming into this in this time frame?
I basically just grew up on it, I guess you could say. When I was probably when I was a freshman in high school, that's when I first started getting into Slayer and stuff. And then a couple of years after that is when I got Bathory. So I've been listening to black metal since the mid '80s.
Yeah.
So
what differentiates black metal from what Euronymous was attempting to do with true Norwegian black metal?
Honestly, I really don't know what the true part is.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's probably the message behind it is kind of what I'm guessing.
Well, also, he had a thing where all the interviews and stuff I've read from, he was pissed off at the way death metal became a trend.
Yeah.
And a lot of it big back then was in Sweden. So he was trying to start a war between the black metal bands, the Norwegian black metal bands, and the Swedish death metal bands.
Yep.
Like he was saying they should go out and kick all their asses and everything because they're up on stage and jogging pants and stuff. And I think it was more of he just wanted to create a scene that was as evil as possible.
Yeah.
And everyone else he just wanted, just destroy them.
Yeah.
That might be the true part.
Yeah, and I think that's because he does. Euronymous uses the term poser a lot in this.
Yeah.
And even his first meeting with Varg, who's wearing a Scorpions badge, which was fucking awesome. And so, as we find out, obviously, Euronymous had this sort of vision of what he wanted true Norwegian black metal to be. And there was, and Mars, I kind of want to get your opinion of this because I know that having it's sort of like in kayfabe, like having this mystique to what you're doing. There's something powerful to that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there is. It's dangerous because like you stop believing your own press, which is to a degree I think. I feel like I couldn't really gauge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we won't say any names, but you and I both worked in some capacity with somebody who never turned it off. And
yeah.
So that sort of stuff is kind of like you just never know like how to take somebody. But it is, I mean, when we were super kayfabe, like I shut whole Worcester message boards down with outrage of things that I had done and said. Not like outrageous black metal-y things or even like, Marilyn Manson or Alice Cooper-y things. Like just, running people down or like whatever else. And like claiming that I had hurt members of a beloved band while they were like laughing, behind me. So it is powerful. You know, it is powerful.
It's that alluring, the
Yeah.
mystique, and like just think of like some examples that are more mainstream would be Ozzy biting the head off a bat,
Yeah.
right? Whether it happened or not, like that is something that people know and made this sort of like, you know, it's the old adage of any press is good press,
Right.
You know, whether it's good or bad, any press, people are talking
Well,
about
even
it.
on a small scale, if you want to know how important it is, how much it works, for the years that I worked for a corporation and didn't want to go too far, I didn't want to get found out.
Yep.
I think things were slower. Like even in the past like year, where I'm working for a company that's like into it, or before that somebody who just didn't care, like, and I'm back to being dynamo like all the time, like things are better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like, so it's definitely like there's something to be said for, you know, as Raven Shadow would say, I guess being outrageous because you know how, like, you know, like being able to, you know, the difference of being like, you know, Roddy Piper or you know, Roddy Piper on the weekends is like a big difference, you know. So
as a music fan, I gotta admit, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't a fan of Marilyn Manson, but during the Antichrist Superstars phase, I loved the fact that there was someone out there that was scaring the shit out of the whole country.
Yeah,
It adds more to it.
Think about the lineage of that. Of the torch was passed, whether it's passed or taken. You had Alice Cooper, you know, you had Ozzy, you had
Kiss, right? Wouldn't Kiss be
Kiss, sure. And you know they did some outrageous stuff where you know Demon Gene Simmons would spit the blood while he was playing his bass solo. You know, like.
Well, you also have to remember the time too. Like, there's something to be said for something that could be on like Saturday morning cartoons now versus something that like terrified people. You know, people.
Yeah, absolutely.
People had heart attacks about Frankenstein, and people had heart attacks about The Exorcist. Now,
or even too when Elvis fucking danced.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. You know, like
people feared Abdul the Butcher. Now they love him.
Well, in Japan,
they love him. Yeah.
In Japan, me and Wolfie had to sit and watch for 45 minutes. People walk up and give him flowers.
Give him flowers and hug him.
Yeah, it's weird.
So it is an interesting thing, and I think that the thing that this film really does is it shows how the seed of an idea can be more powerful than like the idea itself, you know. And it's interesting how this all kind of came about. So. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know a ton about Mayhem and their formation. There's been a lot of members of Mayhem over the years. Like, we're talking 20 to 25, I believe. So there's a lot of members kind of like churning in and out. One thing that Pap said in the chat room, he says that the story of Mayhem got me into black metal. So that's sort of what got him into it. And so, you know, we have Euronymous. And one of the things I really liked about this was it showed sort of the progression of the band. Like when they first started playing in the film, they're playing in like Euronymous' dad's in his family's like house, and the sister would come down and like, you know, make fun of them and said they sound bad, and they did sound bad. Like that was kind of one of the cool things, is that you saw this progression. And then when they played their first show on stage in the film, anyways, where they had where Dead was singing and was you know, cutting himself on stage, like that, like they sounded really fucking good then, you know, like, so you see this cool progression of, you know, from garage band to this cultural force potentially, you know. So I thought that they did a really good job in the film of showing that, which I really enjoyed, because a lot of times they kind of cut right to when the band's really good, you know. Right. So I liked seeing that progression, and you know, I thought that was really cool. Obviously, we got a lot of animal deaths in this, but it kind of comes with the territory, I think. Right. If you kind of know what you're getting into. So for people who really aren't into that, they don't show any animals getting like killed per se, but
some were already killed. They were like already killed. Which isn't to say that they were killed for the sake of the movie. I'm sure whatever dead animals they did have, they got from like.
Get away with that anymore.
No, you can't get away with that shit anymore.
You know, they got from like scientific. You know,
I'm sure they were fucking.
You know, like veterinary schools or something like that.
No, those were special effects. They weren't veterinary schools.
No, I think one was, unfortunately. One
the fox, maybe.
No, the cat.
Yeah,
I was like, that was a real cat. I could tell
that was definitely a real cat.
I don't know.
So, so we get to see the early days, and we see Mayhem sort of like really branching out and actually becoming a force in being this part of this true Norwegian black metal movement, as Euronymous called it. And once Dead joined the band, that was fucking crazy when he sent his demo with, was it a rat?
It was like a rat crucified on
a cross. Yeah. Which, and they're opening it, and it's like, oh, it smells fucking terrible. And then they see it, and it's a fucking rat. And so obviously they listened to the tape and they fucking loved it. So Dead was like, he was like the guy that, the singer of Mayhem. And he obviously, like, I think they did a really good job of showing how fucked up he was, because his life revolved around this one moment where he technically died. At least in the movie, they say that he had died, and he sort of was dwelling on this sort of like, that was part of, and you could tell that really influenced the rest of the band. What I think they wanted to do something drastic, and they found someone who, really took it to the next level.
Yeah. One thing I found interesting that I had never really put together, because I was, if you had asked me before I watched the movie how familiar I was with the story, I would have said kind of, but not unlike Raven Shadow there. I feel like there wasn't a lot that I didn't know, and I had forgot that I just watched that documentary that was on Shudder, like Staring into the Darkness, or
when the light
takes you.
When the light takes you. So like I had just like kind of, I had a refresher course on some of this stuff. But one thing that struck me from, like, as you know, perhaps my favorite band of all time, isn't it funny that bands that actually are cultural phenomenons, bands that actually move to the meter, don't generally have really any success? Just look at my favorite band ever. Like, both Joey and Johnny Ramone died living very meager lives.
Yeah.
And they same thing. They created a genre of music. Yeah. It's very, and we're young kids. I mean, they lived a long full life, unlike death. But there was a comparison to me. I did see like some similarities when you hear people who knew him, when you hear Evil or guys who know him talking about Joey and kind of the way it was. You know what I mean? And also at the same time talking about, like, Johnny and how he was a bit of like a, like an agitator and like kind of a cranky, like kind of old showman. Like, so it's really, really interesting. Like, I think that dichotomy, like, you always hear about Paul and John like being the most famous one, but like if you look, like there almost always is that team of, like, the carny and the weirdo, like, and it's very, very strange to
so we get this. The funny thing is, I until they said his name, I don't know why, but I thought that and once again, this goes to me not knowing a ton about this, but I thought Dead was I thought that was Varg at first. That's what threw me off, is that we had this character who, isn't in the film very long, but had a pretty big impact on the story and the band. He was the Big Bang. Right. Yeah. He's what kind of sent him over the top, I would say. So, and then Dead, he has this fascination with death, and they kind of explore that a little bit. And one of the things I thought was fucking awesome was when he buried his clothes. Yeah. And then when they go play a show, he unearths them and puts them back on. Okay. But you're good.
Doing the huffing of the dead animals.
Yeah. He was fucked up.
Apparently, he used to. Yeah, he would snort a carcass of something before each show.
Jesus
just to get the scent of death inside him or whatever.
I've been fucked up. I ain't never fucking snorted a fucking dead thing.
That scene when they play their show was fucking awesome. Like, I loved how they sort of interspersed the, obviously film footage with VHS shot footage. And they really recreated a lot of the imagery from that day, from that age. And I thought it was really cool. And with Dead cutting himself and like blood squirting into the crowd, like that's one of those things where if you were there, like you're never going to see anything like that. People are going to remember that for the rest of their lives if they were at that show. And you know, obviously, I'm sure it wasn't just that one show, but if you saw them live,
Right.
You know. So, is that something, Brian, that Mayhem was sort of known for? Is this like, did they do outrageous stuff at their shows all the time, or was that an isolated incident? As far as
I was actually just reading about. I was reading some of the Lords of Chaos book just to refamiliar myself with some of it. I guess back then they only did a few shows,
right? Which makes sense based on what they said in the movie.
They only got to go with like a certain place, like a little tiny mini tour or whatever. So I guess it was like 3 or 4 major shows where he cut himself pretty badly. But it wasn't like he didn't have the opportunity.
Was a nightly thing, yeah.
He didn't get the opportunity to do it a lot.
Yeah, it's you know, it's one of those things when you see it, it's pretty fucking crazy. Like just seeing that, and it's very you know, kind of shock jockey. Like it's you know, I guess talking about like Alice Cooper, like, but a lot of that stuff that Cooper did was stage, you know, and fake.
Yeah,
but
that was
this,
all theatrics.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, theatrics. But this is, and maybe that's part of the true Norwegian death metal thing is, you know, like giving you a glimpse of death, like you're essentially looking death in the eyes in a way. Yeah. So
that nothing's fake, everything is real.
Yeah,
nothing is staged.
Yeah,
yeah. So it gives you this interesting glimpse into their world, and you can see that Euronymous is kind of like the ringleader, not only in his band but amongst the group of friends. Yeah, because I thought that was cool that they included not just the band members but the scene, and they call what was
Black Circle.
The Circle, yeah.
It was the Inner Circle. They had a couple of different names for it.
Yeah, and it was sort of like I don't know, like sort of the main people in the scene who were part of the circle, so to speak, I guess. And so then at this point, Dead, who is was the singer of Mayhem, just decides to kill himself in a pretty gruesome scene, and he cuts. Those cuts he made on his forearms were like so deep and so long.
It was like I watched it, I'm like, you can't fucking get back from that. Like,
no.
That doesn't heal. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you can't keep doing that.
And then the throat, and then the fucking gunshot to the head.
And he literally did, he cut his own throat.
This movie definitely...
That was real?
Yeah, he cut his throat.
Okay.
This movie definitely showed something that is an argument I make all the time.
Yeah.
And it's fucking hard to kill somebody.
Yeah,
like, your body is fucking durable. Like,
yeah,
adorable or durable?
I said durable.
Yours is adorable. You're working out, Johnny.
Yeah,
big thick legs.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciated the realism on how tough it is to.
I mean, Hitchcock said it quite a bit.
That was
like,
a very realistic.
Yeah, it's
very well done.
Yeah.
It's not easy to like fucking kill somebody. Like your body is like a real good machine that has like strange redundancies and these other things in place. Like
Yeah, Brian and I had a conversation prior to you guys getting here about how, because I had watched the end of the film when Brian had just showed up, and so we'll get there. But there's a pretty brutal scene at the end, and I was just like it's tense, it's stressful, and it's not that it's. I think Brian had said it's not that it's brutal, it's realistic. It's realistic violence.
It feels real.
Yeah. And that feels dangerous, you know,
right.
like it's even more dangerous than like this theatrical. And that's kind of what you were saying, MZ, is that a lot of these bands, the Alice Coopers, the Ozzy Osbournes, they were doing this sort of these theatrics. Whereas in this movie, it was fucking, or in this scene, it was true. Like that's I think that's where we're getting to the sort of definition of true Norwegian death metal.
Black metal.
But I did it again. And, you know, so I think that's, you know, part of it is this, you know, kind of this, I almost hesitate to say honesty, but it's just being like showing people what you're projecting. It's not just, you know, and Euronymous sort of has this interesting arc where, you know, once again, we'll kind of get to it at the end, but, you know, where he says a lot of stuff and it plants the seeds in people's minds. But he may not necessarily want to go through with that stuff, but he thinks it would be fucking badass for this stuff to happen, and to be associated with it. So, it's kind of an interesting study on that, and we've all done this sort of thing, like in school, or we're in like grade school. You know, someone would be like, "Oh, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm going to do this," and like you try to one up each other. Mm-hmm. But this is like what real fucking stakes. You know, this is like people's lives and like churches and shit, and it just escalates and escalates to this point where it's just like it is spiraling out of control, you know? And they can't maintain this, and it's fucking crazy. And the scene, like, I really liked the characterization, and once again, I don't know how accurate it is, and I know Varg had some things, not so kind things to say about the movie, but fuck him. So, you know, but I really liked how they worked Varg into this film, into the story of from being a, you know, finger quotes poser with a Scorpions patch to being sort of like almost like the ringleader or challenging the ringleader for control of this scene, you know?
Takes out the ringleader.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
The most insane one.
There you go, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely something to be said about, like, my favorite thing about this movie is something that you see a lot in real life, but you don't often see, and you see a lot in classic literature, but you don't often see it, like, you know, betrayed in real life. You know what I mean? Like see a docu thing that like goes through this, like, and that's the creation of the monster. And usually it's a broader thing or a more societal thing. It's not exactly just like one person that like makes its monster, but like that is almost inevitably, even though this is really what happens, that's almost always a metaphor for art and artists.
Yeah.
Like someday down the line, there's going to be a fucking Fabio Frizzi that's going to come along and be more outrageous and a bigger prick and have better puns and you know, make me look like a fucking old joke. You know, like there was, you know, like if you look at The Rock or Stone Cold compared to like Hulk Hogan, you know, or Ric Flair, you know, like Ric Flair is maybe an outlier because he, you know, you could 1985 Ric Flair, you could put him in the ring today and he'd be able to hold up. But like, you know, like when, you know, even like the, you know, you can go all the way through any art, like, you know, like Frank Miller, my hero. But then Garth Ennis came along and it's like, what the fuck did I just read?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, Joe Satriani to Steve Vai, like you can just go forever. There's always that thing that like knocks you off your pedestal. It doesn't always end with bloodshed, but always the thing that you created makes, like, knocks you off. That destroys you somewhere down the line. I mean, like, I remember people being afraid of, like, Grandmaster Flash and stuff like that. But holy fucking shit, when Chuck D, like, walked through the door with the fucking, you know, Black Panther-like people were pissing their pants. And then came NWA. Like, it's always that next thing that fucking knocks that last thing off its pedestal. And I think that that's, like, something that I really appreciate in this film. That's like so true in every art, but this was like a little, and it's funny because it's real. Like this is almost like if this was a fake story telling that metaphor, it would be too on the nose, right? But like the fact that this was real was really, really, you know, terrifying.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is Euronymous created a monster in a way without he was trying to project and to create this thing, but but it just goes to show you that like. The idea is more dangerous than the person, and we talked about this when we talked about the man who killed Hitler, and then the Bigfoot,
right?
Where he talked about, you know, once Hitler died, it didn't matter. Like it was the message and the movement was more powerful than the person, you know. And I think that this is kind of a similar thing where Euronymous was saying these things. Or maybe not saying everything, taking credit for some of the things he didn't say, but he started this thing, and then it got out of control because people were taking it almost too literally, and then the movement became bigger than the person, you know? And I think that's an interesting thing, and you can see how, I mean, I would imagine just that little glimpse we got of Varg when he met, or Christian when he met him, after they played their show and he was wearing the Scorpions patch still. Like, even then, you could tell, I could see Varg being someone who was picked on, who, like, just never found his, like, niche or found his spot. And then he found this group of people that he could relate to. And then he wanted to be more than that, you know? And that's when he started to really push things further. And that's when, he burned the church down, the first church. You know, that was a fucking crazy thing to do. And then Euronymous is like, oh, I've been talking about that for years, because he wanted to take credit for all this stuff, you know?
Yeah. I told you to do that. I put it in your head, and you did it.
Right. So, I mean, he is, don't get me wrong, Euronymous is dangerous too because of this stuff. And he may or may not have started this movement that you know, ended with churches being burned and people being killed, you know.
Well, it's the old adage, you know, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
and in this case, the actions certainly spoke louder than the words, because the words were just really just, to use the better a word that I can't think of better, poser words.
Right.
You
Well,
know, it's
Most
basically
of the time it's just talk.
Right.
Yeah, most of the time people just talking. a
But
big
people
game.
don't realize sometimes, like.
But he
how
wanted to impress upon them
Right.
so much.
Right. Well, I mean, like that's what I was talking about. Like, everyone in the Deadites, right, knows that I'm a fucking dork and an asshole, right? But imagine if, like, all of a sudden, like, it was a bunch of fucking 19-year-olds, and, like, you know, it would be hard.
The Kiddites?
Yeah, it would be right. Well, they know I'm an asshole more than the Deadites, but it would be hard to turn that off, right? If there were people all around all the time that were, like, always laughing at your jokes, that were all, you know what I mean? Like, you'd be fucking that thing all the time. And that's where it gets dangerous, because even words, then you've distilled your idea to somebody who's like, now you're not just fucking role playing, you're preaching. And, you know, the revolution is only ever just like a t-shirt away. So, you know, the reality is that, like, you know, somebody who might say something offhandedly, like, might cause somebody to, you know, really stop fucking believing that, really, really buying it, you know. And it's really an interesting dichotomy. What's funny about this movie is that this movie, and we talk about it all the time, me and Aries talked about it on the ride over, and me and Wolfie talk about it a lot. There are certain things that take me out of a movie, no matter how good it is, right? And, like, and it was important because it was these people, and it showed the dichotomy of the fucking goofs and douchebags they were versus the power that they kind of wield unwittingly. But, like drunken chicanery in films, like, just makes me, like, just not invested in those characters. Like, that's why I didn't like, you know, surprisingly, Raven Shadow and I kind of said the same thing about the time travel movie the other day. Like those type of dummies, like, no matter if it's important to the film or whatever else, like, as soon as that fucking, like, throwing beer around and, like, fucking running around the woods and everything else and, like, being drunk and high, like, I literally start looking at my phone. No matter how invested I am up until that point, no matter how much, like, I just fucking hate those type of dummies. I hate them. You know, and I understand it, especially at the end of the movie, how important that was to show what they were versus what they sold and what they became as a fucking boogeyman feared phenomenon.
Yeah.
But, like, man, like, this film exposed my lack of tolerance for that level of, like chicanery. Like, literally, I had to go back and rewind a little because I was full out fucking making Facebook posts and stuff like that. Like, so it's funny. Like, I just can't personally handle it. But, like, it does, in retrospect, at the end of it, especially now talking about it with you guys, show, like, it's poignant in the fact that it's important to their arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But, man, I can't fucking handle it at all. I can't deal with. Aries said that we were like that, but we were never that. Fucking dumb.
It just seems like part. I mean, it just shows as part of the scene too, and you know, we kind of get a glimpse into Dead and Euronymous' sort of relationship. But yeah, it is pretty. You know, I think that it's everything that happens in this, and it's a 2-hour movie. You know, that's not. You know, it's not a really long movie, but I think everything had purpose in this. And, you know, I kind of had wondered after Dead had killed himself, like, where it was going to go from there, you know?
Right. It kind of broke the band up.
Yeah, yeah.
Euronymous was the first time when he pissed off the bass player. The bass player was like, he was our friend. What the fuck?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because once again, Euronymous tried to make it sort of a gimmick and to, in a sense, profit off of Dead's death.
Yeah.
You know, he took the pictures of him. and then he made the
necklaces.
the necklaces, which we found out wasn't really part of Dead, but like that I thought was, it's pretty shady. Your friend kills himself, and it's how can we exploit this to make the band?
And he also made the proclamation that he even ate a portion of his brain or something like that. Yeah.
Hey, speaking on that subject matter, I brought something for you guys to check out.
Oh, nice.
I've got the infamous CD.
Really?
Oh.
Look at this.
Really?
Holy shit, he does have it.
I figured I should bring that in tonight.
Nice.
Mayhem.
Cool.
Dawn of the Black Hearts.
See, I'll show it up on the.
Well, that's the moment too when he comes there. And finds
Shit!
him,
Yep.
and then his first instinct is to call the authorities. Puts the phone down and then gets creative.
It literally goes and buys a camera.
Yeah, right. I'm like, what the fuck's he getting? I'm like, he's gonna hide the body? No, first thing he pulls out.
Not just grab a camera, he had to go and buy it.
That's right,
He
right,
took
right.
the time to go get it.
Yeah.
He went shopping.
Here, someone talk because I'm showing showing it on the screen. I can't talk and do that.
So I think you can see that his wrists are cut. I don't know if you can see his throat, but you did cut his throat, and his brain is falling out. But also, so I didn't realize, I guess Euronymous actually staged some of that photo. The shotgun wasn't there. The shotgun was obviously in the living room floor or whatever.
And
he put the knife in place just to make it look even better.
Is this an actual photo? Because it looks like it is touched up a little bit.
It says well, it's a bootleg supposedly.
Oh,
so
okay,
whatever they
okay.
did to it.
Gotcha.
But that's the actual photo, and they actually recreated that
crazy.
very well in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. And the recreation of, and once again, I'm not the biggest Mayhem fan, and maybe you can speak to this, Brian, but a lot of the promotional shots, the pictures that they took were straight from the ones, if you look them up on the internet, they basically staged them just how they were taken.
Oh yeah, I was just watching something recently, and I was looking through one of my older books, and even the graffiti on the back of the cement wall, was all almost the same. I think.
Yeah.
What just happened to be behind them while they were just fucking around.
Yeah. So I think the attention to detail was really well executed here, and a lot of the things that they do, to really mimic a lot of what happened in that day seemed to be spot on from what I could tell. So. Definitely, kudos to Jonas Ackerlund for doing that, because you could have really taken this and gone in a really kind of fantastical way. You could have made this more, but then I guess that would be against the message of true Norwegian black metal. So, I think that it is interesting that they decided to do that, and I think it definitely serviced the film well to keep it more real, so to speak.
They could have gotten away with it because it's so unknown to the masses.
Right.
But they didn't. No, they actually made sure they got all the details right.
I want to speak a little bit about Rory Culkin in this, because I thought he was fucking awesome.
He was great. He did a great job.
I think that he played a fairly, I wouldn't say all the time, but he was fairly conflicted, and even was able to garner some sympathy. And he's kind of a scumbag. Let's be clear, because he started this stuff. But I had sympathy for him. I thought that he played this really well, and whether or not this is true, it seemed like he maybe was trying to turn things around towards the end of the film, and and I really felt that change in him. And I just thought that was really, really well played. I just thought he was great in this.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know shit about this kind of music, but I, so I take this movie for face value, and and if they say what happened in the movies, what happened in real life with this band, then I'm inclined to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, if they're willing to put that kind of a message of truth and honesty, no matter how brutal and ugly it might seem in the band, then I would imagine that the former drummer of Bathory, was it?
Yeah.
Would do the same thing in presenting that kind of same truth and honesty, no matter how ugly it might appear to be in the film as well.
Yeah.
So,
isn't the Count selling that he isn't there some convoluted story that he has about that he was defending himself when he got there or something like that?
To this day, even on the new interviews he has on YouTube, he still says he was defending himself.
Yeah.
Because he's someone said Euronymous wanted to kill him, but again, that was just Euronymous, I guess,
Talking smack.
Yeah.
Talking shit. He was pissed off. But
I said
to
I
this day,
wanted
he
to kill
still-
Ravenshed on the air 2 weeks ago. Like legit said it. Like not like it doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. Doesn't mean I'm not. But like
Well,
you know,
he was pretty specific in some of the things he said.
Yeah.
I'm going to tase him. I'm going to drag
Well, he
him
had a
out.
I'm gonna
taser.
make a
And he
snuff
had one.
film out of it.
Yeah,
but it was just like he was also like pandering too.
sure.
Like the
Well-
severity of the of his threats were like if he was alone, he would have been, I'm gonna fucking kill that guy. But then he was like he had the prop, he had the thing, so he
Yeah.
went into his like theatrics, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And you-
Speaking of Varg, like him talking about nowadays about what happened, he is free. He lives in France, and he has his own YouTube channel, and you can go on there and watch him just ramble on about.
Oh, boy.
He'll still talk about the stuff like it's nothing.
So what do you think about the movie?
Oh, he fucking hates the movie.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, it showed
It
him what he
shows him guilty.
was. So of course he's not going to be happy about it.
And one thing he did say, I won't say exactly what he said, but he mentioned the actor who portrayed him was Emery Cohen, and he called him Cohen. You can kind of assume
Okay.
what religion he
Nationality,
is, and so he said that he was a fat blah blah blah, and said, I can't believe they got this this person to play me, and he was
The fact
not
that he
as
brought that up again. It's like, okay,
yeah.
you're still the same person.
Exactly. I mean, he does, in the movie when he meets with the press, there's swastikas all around him. I don't think that's a gimmick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
Oh, once he went to prison too, he became like a complete neo-Nazi. I think.
So I mean,
So this guy's got issues.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
More than Batman and Spider-Man.
you know what's funny though, neo-Nazi stuff aside, and I feel like almost every artist might say the same thing. There is an element to all three of the entities that this movie is about that I understood in a way. Like I do get a wild hair across my ass of like doing it and then people saying it. You know what I mean? Like I do get really, I do struggle with like very crippling depression, which like makes, despite the fact like I'm in a career renaissance right now, and it does, and it doesn't matter some days. You know what I mean? Like I do have to be the showman that, no offense to my heterosexual life mate, that kind of has to pull the weirdo through, to be able to get the weirdo out to the sun so everybody knows he's a fucking genius. Like I understood all the characters in this, but it's so funny the realness of them, like the old expression warts and all, right? Like when you see that person, like while I was able to understand all of them, like there's also something repulsive about all of them because they went a little too far. One in a very tragic way, but they went a little too far, Like, and I also like how I think the most important part of the movie, and I wonder if it's revisionist history or not, because like how they showed, McCulkin played it perfectly when he was talking on the phone to the magazine, and he was remembering that day, and they showed him being remorseful and crying, which they didn't show in real time.
Yeah. I really love that scene when he's on the phone with the writer from Kerrang. I just thought that was such a cool scene of him. Like, it's almost like it shows what he really wanted all along, and he sort of talks about that where he wanted to be a big star. Like he wanted to be a rock star essentially, but he wanted to do it in a different way. And so when Kerrang, at the time would, they're still going, but was, a big publication for metal, when they call you, he's like, yeah, like he started talking about the band and was really kind of excited about it. And so, I thought that was a really, really cool scene.
Well, I think all of them too, despite all the talk of the true, black metal and true this and true that, they definitely have their elements of all being posers.
Well, they were just kids,
way,
right?
Yeah, they were all kids too.
Yeah, that's
between like
yeah.
18 and 25, I think.
Yeah.
He was like the oldest one. He was in his 20s. All the other ones, they were like 17 and 19.
Yeah. You don't like, like, I mean, there's a bit of honesty there too, because nobody was a fucking cool kid. You know, everybody wore Oshkosh Bagosh. Like, you know what I mean? Like every monster. The kid who shot up that church a couple years ago.
Right.
He was a fucking kid who fucking had shitty diapers and played with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever. Like, so like that's like, you know, like these like they were dumb kids, and that's what made the whole thing more fucking scary and tragic.
Yeah.
I saw someone bitching about the movie on Facebook. Someone who didn't like the movie. He's like, I just don't picture them running around going, "Hail Satan" all the time. I was like, bullshit. They're fucking teenagers.
Yeah.
They're getting drunk. Of course they're going to be doing
Right.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did
We all
like
do
over
it.
the weekend.
Even non-Satanists do that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the other thing that you have to realize too, and we're a bit more desensitized, but like, you know, like there's nothing that, and it, you know, it goes back to that art metaphor in a weird way too. But there's nothing that society fears more than its youth consistently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like society is always the most afraid of its, you know, whether you know look at the Memphis 4, the Memphis 5, you know, or
Those Memphis 3.
no, it was because one of them died, right? And there's still 3 left.
I think it was 3.
Really, could be.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
Memphis.
Paradise
Memphis.
Lost thing?
West.
Yeah,
Me-
yeah.
Yeah,
West.
that was 3.
West-
Yeah.
West Memphis
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
So like you know, like I you know, or just, you know, as we talked about again, you know, Elvis and his hips, like, you know, the we're terrified of you know, our children. You know, we're terrified of our offspring. Society is a great palindrome of a snakehead eating the head on the opposite side.
Ouroboros.
And yeah.
That was the thing too. Is like Euronymous was basically the adult amongst all these teenagers,
Yeah.
and that the whole inner circle thing was basically like the basement of the store that he owned, and they would only let you had to earn your way in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that brought in the aspect of all these kids trying to impress him.
Yeah.
So he'd
Yep.
be like, you know, he'd just say something like, "Oh yeah, go burn that church." So the kids would go and do it because they wanted to be a part of the whole scene.
Which it's very gatekeepery. You know,
Yeah.
like it's pretty crazy. And like even like you could tell like there was one scene where 2 younger kids were buying albums, and you could tell like they were kind of intimidated to buy them from Euronymous, you know. And I can't remember what he said, but I thought that scene was pretty cool as well.
One of them was talking about how he wanted to feel what it was like to penetrate somebody with a real life.
Yeah,
marriage.
yeah.
that was
that's right, yeah.
that was Faust. He was the drummer for Emperor,
Yeah, yep.
and
Who he ended up getting caught as well, because in the movie they do show that scene, which almost seemed a little bit out of place at first because they weren't really focusing on Faust.
yeah, they didn't really address that. You know, he did go to prison.
Yeah.
for that.
But he definitely, and they showed that later on. But I thought that was an interesting scene, and it just really goes to show that not only the members of Mayhem, but other people in the circle were
Yeah, a
sort
lot of the other bands were actually involved. So
Yeah.
they didn't mention it in the movie, but yeah, Faust was the drummer for Emperor.
yeah.
And also the guitarist Samuth, he went to jail for 2 years for burning down a church.
Yep. Yeah, so it wasn't just Mayhem, it was the scene around them and
The
a
guy
lot of
that
other
drove Varg to Euronymous' prey, his name I think was Snorre, and he was in a band called Thorns.
Okay. Yeah,
and
'cause-
he played guitar also. He was like the secondary guitarist of Mayhem.
Okay.
So, yeah, there was multiple bands that were all. Plus, all those members, they were kind of like Hellhammer from Mayhem. He played drums for like 20 different bands.
Yeah.
He was in so many different bands.
I know. I love the scene when Varg was having his special interview, and then his manservant brings in the interview people.
Oh.
And it was funny. They just take their shoes off.
Yeah.
And then like he's like, "You want some tea?"
Tea.
And then it's like the fucking swastika shit and all, you know.
I will say
Black
that
Death stuff.
there was a pretty
You
good
know?
undercurrent of like black comedy in this. It wasn't like it was very understated. It wasn't laugh out loud, but like it did poke a little bit of fun at how ridiculous some of this stuff was, and I thought that was one example of it. And there was another where I think it was Euronymous who was spelling out the name of the album.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and he couldn't get it right.
Because that would happen. I mean, I try to say the name of that album sometimes. I still screw it up.
Yeah. Which it's just funny. It's just one of those things like you would think like he would just say it and then that's it in a movie. But the fact that he took time to spell it out, I just thought was really funny.
Yeah, have an easier time spelling out a Lovecraft.
Right,
creature, you know?
right, exactly. So I thought that there was a good sort of undercurrent of like just like kind of this like black comedy in it that really kind of poked fun at some of it, and not in a like a negative way per se, but just how ridiculous some of these situations were, and I did appreciate that. It was very understated. It wasn't laugh out loud, but just
kind of it peels back the veil of the fact that like the guy saying, I saw on Facebook saying, "Oh, they wouldn't be sitting around yelling Hail Satan."
Yeah,
these weren't people that were constantly just in black robes,
right,
burning churches all the time,
sacrificing goats.
Yeah, they were still kids having fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
that just went to extremes,
and it kind of made watching the film a little bit easier because it was getting pretty heavy. In a few scenes, where sometimes I felt like even the director, who I didn't know was in a black Norwegian metal band. Sorry,
Sweden,
whatever.
See, that's why I have Brian here to correct us.
Thank you. That he might be taking it a little bit too far, but injecting those little bits of black comedy kind of eases it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's true or not. I mean, it kind of settles itself back into a certain a certain way in which I could appreciate it a whole lot more, because I think this movie was fantastic.
Here's a picture of Euronymous, the real Euronymous.
Oh, really?
And like, look at that getup. Like, he's got the bullet belt.
The bullet belt.
Like, this is essentially what he looked like in his record store in the movie, right?
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, Rory Culkin's a little bit more handsome, I think, but still, like, like it's pretty damn close. Like, here's like right there, like.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I think they did a really good job with this, and
the casting looks to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought
as far as appearances go,
I thought they did him perfectly.
Yeah. I after looking it up, I totally agree. I think they really nailed a lot of the casting on this, and even some characters that just show up for like the singer. I maybe Brian, but the singer of the band on their first album of Mayhem.
Yep.
Like, he was only in there for like a couple minutes, but was it Attila maybe?
No, Attila he replaced Dead. He ended up being the singer on the actual album.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I was talking about, that scene when they were recording in the studio towards the end.
One thing that blew my mind about that recording scene, I was like, damn, they did a good job casting this movie. The guy looks like Attila.
Yeah.
Then I found out later it's Attila's real son playing him.
Holy shit.
I was like, oh shit, no wonder why it looks just like him.
That's
and he acts
crazy.
Just like him.
That's kind of awesome, actually.
That's smart casting, man.
Yeah, that was. I actually met Attila. I got to hang out with him in Boston after the Mayhem show.
Oh, really?
And he hung out with us for like 20 minutes just
Nice.
outside the club. The guy was like so cool.
That's crazy. I had no idea that was his the real Attila's son.
He acts just like him too.
Attila the son.
Attila the son. That's good.
That's pretty
You're
good.
a real piece of work.
Hey, no one else said it.
That's pretty good.
So I do want to kind of start to wrap things up a little bit here, and let's see. One thing. Obviously, I'm sure everyone here noticed, but they played Dead Alive a few times in the background.
Yeah, Dead Alive,
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Yep.
And even music. You can, if you listen really closely, you can hear music from Demons.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
He also dies listening to the fucking score for The Park Is Mine.
Yeah.
So.
Which they got all the years right, because a lot of the stuff that they had, they showed had come out prior to this stuff actually happening. Which a lot of times in movies they take some liberties with.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, but like there's a lot of stuff in, say, Stranger Things that like nobody had a fucking Thing poster. Like
right.
Nobody went and saw it. Like, so, like, why did they make any posters?
One thing I
That's a
loved
good
was
point.
the party scene. And how the party scene opened up with Fast as a Shark from Accept.
Yeah.
I thought that was just so cool, because I'm like, that would have been what they were listening to back then.
Yeah.
That's what they had. That's what they were playing.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And so I want to talk a little bit about the end. I mean, this is a potential spoiler, but I mean, if anyone knows the story, like it mirrors what happened. It's real life. So, I actually think that despite knowing what was going to happen, I actually think that added to the tension.
It made it more tense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think
you dreaded it.
Yeah. So I don't think this is anything. If anyone out there doesn't know the story, I don't think this is a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler. It's kind of like going to see the Titanic.
Exactly. Exactly. So we build up to this point where Varg decides. So Euronymous sends him a contract and basically says, I will, he's trying to, it looks like he's trying to make amends with him because they had this sort of like back and forth tete-a-tete thing. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to pay you back for everything I owe you. All you got to do is sign this contract and blah, blah, blah. Like, and then we'll be good. I'll see you around. We'll be friends, but this is of course after Varg hears that Euronymous wants to kill him and make a snuff film. Like that's kind of secondhand knowledge of what he heard from other people. So he goes to give him the contract and with a knife. He has a knife in his back belt. So that whole scene was just really creepy. Like you could tell, and like just the tension, and when he shows up into Euronymous' apartment, and then like Euronymous goes to get a pen, and he's like, "Where are you going? Wait, I know you're gonna get you're gonna get a weapon. You're gonna get that taser." And like he's played this out in his mind, and he's
fucking ready. He's ready. He's fucking jacked up, and he's ready.
He thinks
roll.
he knows what's gonna happen, but it doesn't seem like that's actually what's gonna happen. So he really kind of like worked himself into a shoot, so to speak. Like where he really just thought that this this stuff was gonna happen, and so he's just on the offensive. And as soon as Euronymous goes in the other room, he comes in, brings the knife out, and just fucking stabs him right in the gut, And then Euronymous is like, "What are you doing?" Like, and then there's a part where Euronymous, like, I won't say too much of play by play because I think that is something that you should see.
True. Yeah.
But goddamn, was this like
that was vicious?
It was vicious. It was just so
real.
It was real.
Very raw.
Yeah, and like. That, and there wasn't a ton of blood. It's not like there's blood shooting everywhere. It's not like
it wasn't theatrical at all.
Yeah, and it just felt so real, and that made it fucking brutal. That like the realness is what made it brutal.
It was cold.
Yeah. So that scene, and it's funny because Brian showed up literally right after that scene it ended, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like I was like, just kind of like like probably red faced, like white knuckled, like I just like it was an intense scene. And despite knowing what was going to happen, like it still was just fucking intense as hell. Do any of you guys have anything to add about that scene? Because
I didn't know what was going to happen, so
okay. Was it tense for you? Did you?
Oh yeah, I mean it was enough where watching it and you're like doing the whole. You're feeling it. You're holding your stomach. You're like,
yeah.
Oh fuck! And then like you're like still alive, but yeah, I mean knife wasn't that big, but it was enough to obviously damage over time. And I really kept focusing on the door.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, did doors lock backwards in Sweden?
Norway.
Same thing. That's get on the phone.
Death metal,
Who
black
are you, Rand
metal,
McNally all of a sudden?
Sweden, Norway. There's a difference.
Where it is.
What I really dug was when it came to the knife attacks, the Foley sounds for this I thought was fantastic because I think what they did is that they took a note out of Hitchcock's book. Okay. Because how when you watch a slasher film, or whatever, and somebody stabs somebody, you always hear the clanging of the knife, the scraping of the knife, you hear that twang, which of course doesn't belong there at all unless you're a cyborg or something, and you're not a cyborg. This is sharpened metal on human flesh, and you hear a thunking sound, thunking, and that along with the fact that, as Dynamo has mentioned, it is very difficult to destroy a human body with knife attacks.
Yeah.
You know,
and we also get it in
It's-
with Faust with the guy in the park.
yes,
That was
yes.
really well done too.
Yeah.
Yeah, which and that just adds to the brutality of it all. I mean, so I give top credit to the Foley design in this movie because it really amped up that brutality.
I think that Faust thing you could have left out, right? Like I felt like that was part of
it. It actually was a big part of the story. 'Cause
Yeah.
it brought it. It was the fact because they all started getting paranoid and they had to, they knew the cops were going to start looking at them.
Right.
Burning a church with no human life loss except for maybe a firefighter, like obviously that's still a life loss, but like I think that there's, I mean, maybe not, it's different, but like burning a church and physically killing a human with your hands, I think are perceived as two different things.
I agree, but and I'm not for altering the story, right? But like you've just added like kind of you've just given like a major thing to like somebody who was like a peripheral character in the rest of the narrative. Yeah. Which was, like he's the star of his own movie, but like it just made it feel like this was a 4-hour movie that they had cut down to like 2 hours, like because this one character had this thing that was important happen that, and again, it didn't really come out of nowhere because I was trying to remember who fucking killed somebody from like seeing that because there was that documentary and another one that I watched right around that time, and like so like this was like really just like a spark notes for me because I was like, I remember now, and just kind of being like, like, oh, like which one of these assholes fucking ended up just fucking killing some dudes? Like
it probably would have played a little bit better if they did establish that he was an emperor, because then it showed that there was more bands involved.
Right.
But
again, I didn't know until you said it.
Yeah. It might have been cut for time because they wanted to stay under 2 hours.
Yeah,
maybe,
there's nothing said about it at all.
No,
like
they never even mentioned someone's wearing an emperor shirt at one point, but that's it. That's the only mention of them.
So
it just made it that much worse, the fact that another main member of one of the prominent bands now had committed murder. So it just added like this whole nother level to what they were in, like where they were going.
Yeah.
It's so stupid too. I mean, I know it wasn't the technology that we have now, but I mean, like, you're gonna get fucking noticed, right?
Oh yeah.
Like.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. How did it like? Granted, we weren't Superfly fucking TNT forensic files like we are today, but like I don't know, fucking Watson definitely could have waded in and figured out who fucking killed. Because like it's just he was fucking everywhere. And
who killed Euronymous?
Yeah, drinking fucking milk and Ovaltine.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? Like he didn't even try to hide that it was him.
Yeah. It's almost like he didn't care. He just had this objective and he wanted to complete it, and that's it. He didn't give a fuck about anything else. So, I think anything else. Anyone wants to say before we head to the verdict here?
No, I just got a new taser app. I'm gonna take Montezir out to the woods.
You're gonna make a snuff video? Well, Brian already did that with you guys.
I don't know. I think Aries is chomping at the bit to speak his mind.
You got to get a taser in your next film, Brian.
Stacey has one.
Huh?
Stacey has one.
Oh, she does? Yeah. Nice. Let's work on that.
MZ will get tased. Will you agree right now? On the air.
Can we
sure,
tase?
What the hell? I don't have any heart conditions. I could do it.
It's actually not that bad. On the set of Bone Sickness, she had it on her, and one of the other guys like, I'll try it. And he put it on his leg. He just went, that's about it.
All right.
It's not very powerful.
Can we tase? Can we tase you right in the balls once a zero?
Yeah. Oh,
that
God.
might hurt.
No.
Well, you're not using them.
It's in the script. Give me a pen.
Who here? All right. Who here remembers Montezero saying that you have to suffer for your art?
Oh, yep.
So there you go, Montezero.
Yeah. But I'm not. I believe in suffering for your art, but that doesn't mean I have to suffer for his art. He has to suffer for his art.
Do you want it on Rufus or Ronaldo?
Take your choice. They're interchangeable.
Ooh. Now Rufus and Ronaldo are going to tase you.
Yeah.
Did Brian know that you've named your balls?
No, but he does now.
I do now.
Trick or treat, baby. I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. I'm going to let you know whether this flick was a trick or a treat and any final thoughts we may have. Let's kick it off with the return in Raven Shadow.
Yo, man, I enjoyed this. Definitely treat to.
You remember, Trick is the bad one, Treat's the good one.
Well,
I know it's been a couple weeks.
I'm not sure. I'm confused now. No, man, it's definitely a treat to worship Satan to. So that's what I'm gonna do tonight.
Hail Satan!
Yeah,
They wouldn't do that. Come on.
they do it all the fucking time. Yeah.
All right, Aries.
Yeah, I mean, some of the lesser characters, their character development, I believe, was cut for a time, which I think hurt some of the story elements of it. Mainly, as was mentioned, some of the other bands' involvement. But all in all, this movie definitely was a treat.
All right, Brian.
Definitely a treat. I live and breathe metal, and
Yeah.
metal movies are always cheesy as hell. They always suck. So I went in with low expectations, and I was very impressed.
Yeah. Nice. MZ.
I love this movie. This is definitely a treat for a film that carries this kind of a topic and carries it for nearly 2 hours with no moments of boredom at all. Is truly quite an achievement. There are times where I felt quite concerned about what I was watching.
Did it feel dangerous?
It did feel a little bit dangerous.
Knowing that it really happened, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and especially now that I know for real that it happened, because honestly, like I said, I don't know anything
Like
about
the
this
stuff
sort of
with
stuff.
Yeah, well, like the album cover that Brian just showed us.
Yeah, I know nothing of this,
Yeah.
And so this is all, this is all new to me. And but I really dug this movie. This was a great flick. Yeah, this is definitely a treat.
Marsman.
I just want to say for the record of the people who can't see the camera, I did not look at the album cover. I am an asshole, but I'm not a fucking asshole.
I'm a fucking asshole.
You're.
Show it to Mars.
No, I'm not gonna watch
it. Look at
that. I don't like to see real dead people. I don't like.
You look in the mirror every day.
I don't. Yeah, but it's not a strong enough mirror to see my soul. I don't like forensic files. I don't like things about real people being dead. It hurts my feelings. I want everyone to live forever. Except everybody.
Yourself.
Yeah, well, I don't want to. Listen, this planet's not big enough for me, Raven, shout out MZ. Somebody's got to fucking go.
This room isn't big enough for all three of you.
Fucking MZ's shirt's not big enough for me. But yeah, so this was a treat. I had been really anxious for this throughout the second half of last year and this year, and I wanted to love it. I will say that I almost made this a tepid treat. There was nothing the matter with this film. In fact, I think it excelled in a lot of things. Storytelling-wise, plot device-wise, direction. But if I am being honest, I did feel like it had that curse of like the modern movie, right? The 2 hour movie, where I feel like the way that storytelling is set up in films now, you make a 2 hour movie, it can both be too long and too short. And I definitely had that. Like I was kind of running out of steam.
Yeah.
At the end, and it made some of the clever way that they showed some of the wrap up seem rushed. Even though I understand those type of narrative storytelling. So, I'm going on, I probably shouldn't have watched this 3 hours before the show on, a couple hours sleep over the past couple days, so maybe that hindered it. And I just don't like drunk dummies running around in the woods being drunk dummies. But I do think that...
yeah, but that was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
Jesus.
Too much for me. Animals dying and drunk dummies, I can't do it. But I think this is a treat. I do recommend this. It's probably... What's funny about it is that for a film that has so many, in a way, fantastic things happening or outlandish things happening, if everything else that I've read or seen has to do, it's startlingly accurate, right? To the point where it almost, falters as a narrative sometimes because, now you're trying to throw a lot of stuff into a, 2 hour movie. But, and that is to its detriment, I guess. So, yeah, this is a treat.
All right. And for me, definitely a treat. I really fucking love this movie. And one thing we didn't really talk too much is the sort of technical aspects of it. And with Polar, Jonas Åkerlund had sort of more of this really kind of hectic sort of feel to the editing and the way it was filmed, some of the camera shots and things like that. but I thought that this was very reserved and served the film well. Like, I think it needed to be reserved. If we got too much hectic action with camera movements and editing, it wouldn't have worked. So I think that it was filmed really well, edited really well. It fit the tone of the movie, and I think the performances were really good. Especially Rory Culkin, I thought was fucking great in this, and I think that this film will work on multiple levels. If you know the story, I think you'll really enjoy this film. If you don't know the story, I think you can still really enjoy this film. And for me, it made me want to dive a little bit deeper into the scene, because I know a lot about various metal scenes, but the Norwegian black metal I didn't know a ton about. I knew about the church burnings. I'd seen Until the Light Takes Us, so I know about the scene a little bit, but this like really showed this another side of it that I just didn't really know a ton about. So I think it's really well done on a technical level, and just creatively, like, I think it's a really cool film, and I think people will dig this one. I think it has enough. I wouldn't call it a horror film per se.
Definitely not. No.
But it's got elements of gore and very realistic violence. So if that's something that you don't like, you may want to think twice, because some of the scenes are so intense because of that. And there is some animal stuff in it, but I think the animals are all dead when we see them. You don't see them dying. You do see them trying to shoot a cat, but they don't hit it. So, that's actually, you didn't like that, Mars. You didn't like them shooting at a black cat.
No, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Like, if I was there, I would have fucked those guys up like a car crash.
That's a problem I have, because I'm like, I totally love black metal, but then I'm like, fuck you, I love animals.
Yeah, yeah.
Just knock it off.
I mean, you can like Norwegian black metal and like animals too.
I would have turned those guys into fucking hand puppets, though. It would have been bad.
So, no, I think this is a really good film, and I think that this, depending on how the year goes, this could end up on some lists, at least for me, so far anyways. So, yeah, I really, really dug Lords of Chaos, and it's interesting to see Jonas Åkerlund did Polar, and then he's done this. Like, I kind of am really curious to see where he's going to go next, because I could see him doing more action. I could see him doing something like this. I'd actually really love to see his take on a horror movie, like a straight-up horror movie, because the violence in this is really realistic, and it could be interesting to see what he can do with that. So, well, that is going to wrap up our discussion about Lords of Chaos. It is available on VOD if you guys want to check it out. And next week we're doing a Netflix film. We're doing a Korean zombie movie called Rampant.
Oh, nice.
So this one looks pretty interesting. I think someone posted a trailer for it on the Facebook group. But it just popped up on Netflix a couple weeks ago, I believe, and it's directed by Kim Sung-hoon. I was trying to think if we know anything. No, I don't think he's done anything that we've seen. But I think it's made by some producers who did Train to Busan. I think it's got some of the producers behind that.
My question: what was Train to Busan? Was that Korean?
Yes.
Watch it. It's an amazing movie.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, we did it on the show. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I fucking love it.
Fantastic flick.
Love it.
Busan is a city in
Korea.
Yeah.
Doing the sequel. Can't wait.
One thing to digress quickly, this movie made me think of a flick back in the 90s called Black Circle Boys. Am I right with that title? Did you guys ever see it?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but yeah.
It was like the male equivalent to The Craft.
Maybe. I had Eric Mabius, who I like.
Didn't he play Eric Draven in The Second Crow? Was that him, or was that someone else?
No, that was Vincent Perez.
Oh, Vincent Perez, that's right.
He was the Draven before fucking Eddie Furlong.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah.
They were
I knew he was
downhill
one
over
of them.
Cliff. Yeah. And I think he played like the boyfriend to somebody in some fucking show I didn't watch.
So the synopsis of this one is All-American Kyle is the newest initiate of the Black Circle Boys, an underworld society of gothic groupies whose primary interests are creating mayhem and studying the occult. By the time he realizes he's in over his head, it may be too late.
Oh no!
So I could see how that would, because that sounds like Varg a little bit.
Yeah. And I wasn't completely for sure this was the actual story of this band.
Black Circle
yeah.
Boys, you make my.
Can I throw in one last thing about
Yeah,
the
of course,
movie?
man.
You
yeah.
mentioned the actual scene. You didn't know, like, what the actual scene was and everything.
Yeah.
One thing that's fine is interesting, even though we're talking about how it was a bunch of 17 and 19-year-old teenagers, getting drunk, trying to one-up each other. What's interesting about the cultural side of it is that this still was teenagers doing this because they wanted Norway back.
Right.
They actually cared so much about the roots of their country.
Yeah.
That they wanted to drive up
there was
Christianity.
like some like political connotation.
That's a really
to why
good.
they did
That's something you don't see in America at all.
I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because they did say that one of the churches they burned. They said that these used to be like something like an Odin
it was all
temple
it was all pagan land.
Yeah,
and then the Christians came and burnt all the pagans out, and then built Christianity. So now they're trying to take Norway back.
Right. So it's not so much. I mean, granted, you just don't do that. You don't burn a church, but like it's not that they were trying to like injure people. You're right. It was sort of reclaiming our country because Christianity had sort of taken over all these other sort of religious sites or whatever. So that is a good distinction that I'm glad you brought up because there I guess. In a nationalistic way, their efforts were sort of noble-ish.
In a twisted way.
In a twisted way,
because, they cared about their country so much. They wanted, and they were. I've read interviews where they're pissed off that mainstream Norway, they say, has been brainwashed by the Christian churches. And it just pissed them off.
I'm glad you brought that up. As
but
interesting
it's got
distinction.
that whole other side to it. It's not just a bunch of maniacs running around.
Yeah,
they kind of had a purpose behind it.
I mean, and we have all done stupid shit when we were kids.
No, I didn't.
Of course you did. We've all done stupid shit. The good thing is none of us killed anybody, as far as I know, or burned down any churches. I think they're more benign than that. They may have caused I don't know, like we did some scavenger hunts in our days that probably had some property damage. So
allegedly
when I was a teenager, allegedly.
Right.
So we've all done stupid shit.
Yeah.
Never convicted.
Yet.
Well,
you got nothing on me, copper.
Well, if the chat room is any indication, we knew what I was doing in my youth.
Yeah, Shockies.
Jeepers creepers. I know. Who knows?
I'm
afraid that the Shockies kids are going to show up next.
Megalodon.
Yeah.
You know what I did in my youth? Ate Slim Jims and jerked off. That's what I did.
And watch horror movies.
And
Don't forget that.
Yeah, at the same time.
And took the occasional shit every now and again.
At the same time, you.
All at the same time.
In your youth and also last Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Has anything changed, MC?
Yeah, I mean, like.
All right.
What kind of Blumpkin is that?
Oh.
I don't want that.
So next week we're doing Rampant. It is available on Netflix if you guys want to give it a go. And feel free to send in your thoughts. Podcast at trickortreatradio.com. Send a voicemail, email, whatever. And I think we'll skip the last break and jump right into voicemail because we're running a little late. It's getting a little over midnight here on the live show.
Thanks, Brian.
No.
I've got an hour ride home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got the longest ride home now. So let's jump into some feedback, and this includes some thoughts from Dynamo's kid, one of his kids, Pabst. Aries is leaving. You don't have headphones? You want those headphones? Oh, Aries, that's the tinkle. Okay.
I have to tinkle too, but I'd like to hear my kid.
All right. Well, here's your kid, Pabst, with his thoughts on.
He's the best one. You know that.
On Lords of Chaos.
Come on! Leipzig! Come on! Join us! Pure fucking Armageddon!
Hey guys, it's Paps. Just calling in this week. The other night I watched Lords of Chaos. And honestly, I really fucking dug it. So, I fucking love black metal. Black metal is one of my my favorite metal subgenres. That being said, Mayhem, not my favorite black metal band. Mayhem is not my 10th favorite black metal band. Mayhem's probably not even like my 30th favorite black metal band. but I do appreciate the influence that Mayhem had on the genre as a whole. And, I got to kind of say, the best part of Mayhem is the story of Mayhem. And it was pretty awesome to be able to see it told on screen. How historically accurate the movie actually was is kind of another thing to be seen. But yeah. So yeah, I watched it last night. I played a drinking game while I watched it with my fiancée Rebecca. So I figured I would wait till I was a little more sober to call this in because I got fucking shit-faced. So we drank every time Varg got called a poser. We drank every time they said true Norwegian black metal. Anytime they said Satan, the devil, or, some variation. We drank anytime they mentioned the black circle or the inner circle. We drank anytime they took photos. We drank anytime someone's parent paid for something. We drank anytime they drank. We drank anytime there was a band name dropped. We drank anytime there was a church being burned. And we drank anytime Varg said, "My name is Varg." But yeah, so we had a blast watching it. I think it was pretty accurate in terms of how outrageous those dudes are. Because if you really think about it, black metal and that whole Norwegian scene as a whole, it was a bunch of trust fund edgelords just trying to kind of outdo each other. I was really glad to see Dead Alive and Evil Dead in it. The performances were pretty good. I thought the movie really picked up after Dead killed himself and all that. But yeah, it was an enjoyable ride. I dug it. I liked how they recreated a lot of the old famous photos and stuff from back in that time. I definitely give this movie a treat. I'm looking forward to hearing you guys' thoughts on it. And peace.
Awesome, Paps.
Drinking game,
that he must have been drinking constantly with that.
Are we positive he's my kid? I feel like
I don't know. You would know.
Yeah, because I've never drank in my life. So
sounds like Aries.
Yeah,
kid.
right.
I never fucking have. Prove it.
Prove it.
You got
how many Deadite shows are there when you fucking drunk?
You got no fucking proof.
Yeah, right. Let me dig through the archives. I'll find something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next person we're going to hear from, I know Brian knows. And that would be our good buddy, Arkham Josh.
Yeah.
Hey, Trick or Treat Radio guys. It's Arkham Josh here. Just calling in with my thoughts on this week's film. And some catch up on some of the films from the previous weeks. So, first and foremost, Lords of Chaos. I thought it was really good. I know there is some debate as to the validity of some of this stuff, some facts that were kind of changed, characters that were kind of changed a little bit. And I myself am by no means any expert on the 80s, early 90s black metal scene in Norway. I've done a bit of reading, familiar with a lot of the situation, and as a piece of movie entertainment, I thought it was great. It was just what I was expecting. I had a feeling that Jonas Åkerlund would be able to pull it off. I really like his other films. I know there was a lot of people online that were really nervous about him doing it, but I don't know. I think it all worked. I think it was shot really well. I think the casting was good because the acting was really good. I think they really nailed much of the look and feel of it. I think one of my favorite things about the movie is, and I really feel that Åkerlund kind of wanted to kind of drive home this point, because over the years there has been much mythologizing of the incidents and of the people involved, and in essence, they were just a bunch of idiot, dumb kids who, for the most part, were just a bunch of assholes. Yeah, they made some really interesting music and some really interesting art, but I mean, for the most part, they were just not that good, dumb people. So I kind of like how the movie kind of just puts that out there and, kind of makes no apologies for it. So overall, I would say treat and a recommend, because I really liked it. I'll probably end up watching it again. Now to backtrack a little, what was it? The Man Who Shot Hitler and Then the Bigfoot? Fantastic movie. Again, it looked great, had great acting. What I really loved about this was the building of story through structure. And I thought that it worked really well to build both a movie that was both emotional and funny and was very entertaining. You guys talked about that at length, so I don't have to go on about that. So I'm going to agree, treat, and recommend. See you next up. Oh, Assassination Nation. Lot to unpack in this film. I agree with the majority of what you guys had said last week, but I did have a couple points, things to think of. Yes, it takes place in a quote-unquote Salem, and has obvious, allegories to the Salem witch trials, but I don't think it's supposed to take place in the Northeast Salem. In scenes in the high school, they are clearly going to East Salem High, and a quick Google search reveals that there are two East Salems. There's Pennsylvania, which I'm not quite sure of, but then the bigger one that comes back most on a search is East Salem, Virginia. And that would put it in, a much more conservative part of the country, and I think fits more in line with how the film looked, and how the story played out. I'm not saying it couldn't take part in Salem, Massachusetts. I just don't think it did. That, and when they talk about the amount of people in the town, and they make it sound like a much larger place. Other than that, two of the really interesting things I liked about it, which was just kind of part of the overall art direction and design of the film. I really liked that the lead character had a Times Square poster in her bedroom. I thought that kind of really fit with the attitude and the characters and such. I also found it really interesting that the movie opened and then later for a short bit reprised one of the main themes that Ennio Morricone did for Argento's Bird with the Crystal Plumage. It's interesting on many levels, because Argento is somebody whose films have been accused of a bit of misogyny with the glamorizing of the attacking of women, but also in that the name of the track that the movie opens with is called Unexpected Violence. So I just thought that was kind of an extra little interesting tidbit. Overall, like I said, I agreed with a lot of what you guys had said. That is going to be another treat and a recommend. Lastly, I got to catch up on Monster Party, which you guys watched a while back. I thought it was fun and entertaining, good time. It may have been overshadowed just because of the other films that I watched in the past week that I just talked about. Are all three really impressive movies, and I'm not saying that Monster Party is not impressive, but it was certainly entertaining, and I had fun with it, and it would also be a treat and a recommend. It was also really fun to see Robin Tunney in something interesting again. Bit of a side note, headed down to Monster Mania in a couple of days, and looking forward to meeting her. So, other than that, I hope everything is good for you guys. Hope everything is going well. I still have to get up there sometime. I know this has been kind of a long, rambling one. But I had a lot of movies to catch up on. I don't think I got to them all, but I got to the ones that kind of stuck in my head that I really wanted to see. So, I hope you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you guys sometime soon, and have fun. I hope all you guys enjoyed this week's film. All right? Bye.
All right, Josh. Thanks, man. Always love when we can hear from Josh, and he gave us some thoughts on several films there.
Never rambles.
No, definitely. I could listen to that dude talk about films all day. So.
Oh, yeah.
I lost a little respect from there, but whatever.
For what?
Just fucking wrong. I don't want to talk
wrong?
about it.
What?
Yeah,
You
wrong.
think that took place in Mass?
What, the Salem thing?
You shut up. You shut up.
That was not
Josh, shut
Massachusetts.
up.
That was a heavy-handed reference. That's all that was.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
So you're mad at him because he's right?
Listen.
And he proved you wrong.
Don't make me humble him and you guys.
Oh, please.
Whoa. Hey,
by
leave
all
his ass
means.
alone, will you?
Fuck you, make you humble.
Aries, you are a very nice Irishman. I respect you very much, Aries.
You're gonna give him an Irish swap?
But don't,
You know what?
But don't mess with the goth chic.
What? Why was that Massachusetts?
Because I know things about stuff.
What's Massachusetts?
What do you know? Prove it then.
I don't need to
You-
prove
you-
anything.
hey, hey.
No,
You're
you
sounding like MZ.
No, you sound
Prove
like
it.
Varg.
Well, I'm Southern.
And you
so
don't
I'd
want
be
you
more
don't
of a Vargman.
Don't
you
be a
don't-
Vargman.
Yeah, you don't want to be compared to Varg at all.
Whatever. He's fat and there's a nice scar. We have a lot in common.
Give
No,
me one reason why that took place
because
in Massachusetts.
I
Yeah.
think.
You think.
No,
Because
listen,
You think.
listen. Well, which is more
Aries
than
has been-
anybody at that end of the
Aries
table
has
could
been
say.
begging
Listen,
for an argument all night.
I believe that this film is
Oh, he doesn't
a
think anymore. He
retelling
believes.
of The Scarlet Letter.
Yeah.
Which is just
Which-
a heavy-handed reference.
Yeah.
It's not heavy-handed.
Yes, it is. For those who wouldn't get the subtlety of it, here, it takes place in Salem.
All they have to do is say Salem. That's it.
As soon as it just
Yeah.
says Salem, everyone just goes
It's a
Salem witch trials.
It's a generic Salem.
But that puts everyone's
First
mind
of all,
right
Salem is generic Salem. Second of all, I don't agree.
there. How do you know it wasn't New Salem, Mass?
Like where they make the cigarettes?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was stealing my old gimmick back for a second there.
What movie?
You said you watched it.
Which one?
Oh boy.
Ah!
Never mind.
Well, I'm off the hook.
No, you're not.
Listen, I'll humble Josh on his own time.
You're not going to humble Josh.
I am.
No,
It's
you're
gonna,
not.
he's gonna be. That's his
Oh,
new
God.
name. Gonna be Humble Josh.
No, it's Humble Eddie.
You
Already
you
humbled
can't
Eddie.
even prove us wrong right now.
I mean, I don't have a fucking pie chart for you, which would still you'd go no. Pie charts
But
don't
the simple
count.
We
fact
don't
you say
need-
yes, I think it takes place.
We
so
don't
it
need
does.
visual evidence. Just tell us one thing.
One thing.
One thing.
I think it does.
One thing. Come on, Mars.
No, I think
You
it
saying
does.
you think it does
You
is
think
not any
that's
kind
not,
of proof.
not a thing.
It is when I say it, it is.
It's a
Yeah.
thing. It's a think. It's not a thing.
That is a thing.
If you could point at a street corner, look, it's corner of Main and Elm. I've been there. That's that street. I would accept that.
I don't know any streets in Salem. Which
Then
you,
how do you know it takes place there?
how do you know it doesn't?
You sound like Raven Shadow now with his fucking geography.
What?
How do you know it doesn't?
It was
Because
not,
it doesn't look like Salem, Massachusetts.
not
Shut
at
up.
all.
You don't know
Not
Salem.
Not one
Not
bit.
one bit.
You fucking go to places and stand by rocks and children's parks. Don't
I've
tell
been
me.
to Salem.
Yeah, you've been to fucking Las Vegas too, and you stood in a fucking park and by a rock.
What does? No, I've been to Salem. I know what Salem looks like. It doesn't look like that. It's more inclined to be Salem, New Hampshire, if anything.
Oh, great.
You know, I mean, we've been to Salem, New Hampshire.
What about Winston?
Wolfie
Yep.
and I, we've
Yeah.
been to Salem, New Hampshire. It doesn't look anything like Salem, Massachusetts.
And when we went, it was like the bitch tit capital of the world.
Yeah.
I swear every guy had like breasts.
Is that why? Is that why you went there with MZ? You wanted to take the commune to the motherland
It
for
was
him?
something in the
we went,
water.
We went to a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Was it ECW?
ECW
Yeah.
show. One of the last ones.
EC Dub.
ECW.
All right, so we actually have 2 more voicemail, but I'm only going to do 1 because Paps sent us 3 voicemail. So what I'm going to do, Paps, I'm just going to hold on to 1 for next week. And I thought this would be a good one to end on. He sends us his review of Mac and Me.
Hey guys, it's Paps. So this weekend, I watched Mac and Me, and I really wanted to take some time to fully digest this movie and mull it over in the old noggin before I call in with my thoughts. So I think there was a little bit of a mix-up with the tapes, because rather than getting the movie Mac and Me, what I ended up with was a fucking 90-minute commercial for Coca-Cola and McDonald's. Now, I've been in McDonald's before. I've been to a few McDonald's, and I have never experienced a fucking dance party like that inside a McDonald's. You think that the employees would be a little bit more pissed off that there was a what they thought is a fucking animatronic nightmare teddy bear dancing up on the counter. That oh my god, that scene was fucking insane. So in terms of Mac and his family, insane inferno, store fucking exploding, not a scratch on them, but no coke for 36 hours and they're on fucking death's door. Now I saw the clip that MZ had posted about, that clip that Paul Rudd always shows when he goes on Conan, and seeing that, I was like, what the fuck is this movie? Maybe once I watch it, there'll be a little bit of context, but no, I think they just wanted to film a scene where a fucking kid in a wheelchair goes careening into a quarry. Oh my god. Yeah, that was very bold of them at the end to assume that they were going to get a sequel after making that movie. Oh my god, that movie was fucking insane. I can't believe that movie was made. Rebecca and I kind of looked into it a little bit, and apparently Ronald McDonald was supposed to have a much more prominent role and was supposed to be a mentor in the movie. Oh my god, that was fucking hot garbage. That is time in my life that I will never get back. I can't believe that movie was made. Treat of the highest order. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, not only was it made, but it actually got a theatrical distribution. Full theatrical distribution, which is even more outstanding.
You know who scored that wheelchair scene?
Who?
A famous pop artist.
From Salem?
No.
Who?
Quarry Hart.
Quarry?
Yeah.
Quarry Hart?
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't laugh, it'll only encourage him.
He liked it. At least I showed up, Raven Shadow.
Hey.
Oh.
He could say that, but Attila the
I thought it was great.
Attila the Sun was bad.
No, I thought it was great. What are you talking about? I think you're bad. Your jokes are good.
Easy. Your heart can't take
Yeah.
that. Easy.
Yeah.
Don't get. And you also, if you die, Ares will yell at you.
Mac and Me.
No, Ares won't save you, though, as we found out.
No, he won't.
True, yeah.
All right, so, well, that's it. I'm going to hold off on Paps's other voice message until next week.
All right.
It's I just thought it'd be fun to end on the Mac and Me review. Has anyone seen that film recently, by the way?
I never saw it. I've never seen the posters for it. It was about an alien that came to Earth, right? Maybe he had a flying saucer or some shit.
Yeah, it's as a matter of fact, not that this is where I saw it. I saw it later on, but I did just see it recently. But it's on Mystery Science Theater 3000. They did it.
Oh, yeah.
On,
they did this part of
on the
Turkey.
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And they had fun with it, and it's just you don't even need their commentary. It's just funny on its own. It's just so amazing.
I haven't seen it for a long time.
I love that movie. It's so bad.
All right, so that is going to do it for voice messages, and we're going to start to wrap things up here. So, huge thanks to Brian Paulin for coming in. Brian, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you, man.
Thanks, man. I loved it. This is a blast.
Yeah, anytime you're always welcome. Especially if you have anything you want to promote when the films come out, we'll obviously talk them up. Make sure people know where they can get them. Could have you on, and maybe we could dive. Maybe when Morbid Tales does come out, we can dive a little bit deeper into that specific film.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit more about making it and some other things like that.
Legit legend.
Absolutely. So, it was a pleasure having you in here, and always great to see you. And once again, if you do decide to make that next film and you need some help, just feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help out.
No, absolutely. You guys are awesome to work with.
I'll get thrown around. I'll do whatever you want.
I want to be set on fire.
Meet
I've
me
been
outside.
pushing this for like 10 years. I want to be set on fire.
I can arrange for both of those things to happen.
Right now.
In the parking lot.
Yeah. Well, I got my camera. I can film.
Flaming taser balls.
Flaming taser balls.
Yeah. Set my nuts on fire.
Yeah, that's a movie.
I bet you that they go up like Jiffy
Check that
Pop.
out, Germany.
That one will get banned.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, huge thanks to Brian for coming in. We had a blast as always. So let's go around the room and say goodbye, MZ.
Yeah, arrivederci, douchebags.
Aries.
Goodbye.
Raven Shadow.
Live fast, love hard, die with your mask on.
Brian, is there anything else you want to say? Like, I don't know if there's anything else you want to promote or anything.
Hail Satan.
Yes, he's promoting Satan, everyone. Marsman.
Win if you must, lose if you must, but always cheat. The governor, Jesse the Body Ventura.
It's funny. I just watched Predator the other night for the first time in a while.
I wanted to watch it last night.
I was in the mood to watch that the other day. It was awesome.
And it's funny, like obviously there's the that awesome fucking like handshake, like the arm wrestling handshake, and someone sent me that very GIF like the next day. It was just the randomest thing.
We'll save 5 hours a year if we just cut out the end and you just say, "See you later, everybody." Cut out another dumb, stupid thing we do every single show.
Well,
just
you don't have to take.
Later,
you don't have to take part.
I didn't. I'm doing a new one.
There you go. So just mix it up.
Just hang up. Say see you later.
Just
everybody.
hang
Click.
up. Just hang up. Hang up. All right. So that is gonna do it. And let me just check. I don't think there's anything in the chat room I missed. Evil Corny says Urban Gandalf fixing to go off.
Just saw him come to the door like the fucking police earlier. He was fucking pissed.
Evil Corny says, sounds like Paps got fucked up. He sure did watching this. And also, I actually meant to mention this. I'm glad I saw Corny's message. But he sent us a tweet and said, I thought Lords of Chaos was a treat. I didn't have enough to talk about to leave a call, though.
Lords of Chaos was a tweet.
It was a tweet, yeah. He tweeted it out. So, all right. So that is going to do it. We appreciate everyone who joined us for the live show. Everyone is going to listen to the show on Friday. And next week, we're going to be talking about Rampant. Check it out on Netflix. We'll see you then.